And here we are, starting another live show. A really big show. Hey everyone, welcome aboard. And everything's set. Looks good. Hello everybody, welcome aboard. And nice to have all of you here on this Friday afternoon, late afternoon here. Evening, of course, in Europe. Nice to have all of you on board. And today we're going to, of course, talk about radio. Try to tune around a little bit. Propagation doesn't seem that great, but we never know. There are often surprises in the shortwave world. Nice to have all of you here in this radio show. So my name is Gilles. This is the Shortwave Show. We are here every Fridays, 2000 hours Universal Time. That's equivalent right now to 4 p.m. Eastern Time, North America. And of course, we are here to talk about radio, shortwave radio, and had a very interesting comment about actually a message. And somebody was telling me in the message, why do you bother doing a show about something nobody does anymore? Which is not what I don't agree with that. I actually replied him, well, you should kind of listen to the bands and look on the internet. There's a lot of people still doing shortwave radio, listening to shortwave radio, and enjoying shortwave radio. And it is not a dead hobby. I always, like to tell and remind everyone. I get tons of messages every year of, well, that's kind of a dead hobby there, and it's like, well, it's not. I don't consider shortwave radio being dead. I consider shortwave radio being a challenge. It's more of a challenge than in the past, and you gotta deal with it. But it's not dead, and there's still a lot, and there are still millions of people that are shortwave listener. He was telling me in this post that, well, even the third world countries have cell phones, and yeah, but they still use shortwave radios for a lot of stuff. And the indication that shortwave is not dead is when you see something happen in a country and you notice that the BBC or the Voice of America, they suddenly increase their shortwave output to these regions. Well, there's a reason for that. They know there's people listening. They know that there is something there and that our people and people depend. Just look at Radio Australia's decision of leaving shortwave. It still has, it still creates wave across the Pacific. It still creates a lot of, we still have a lot of information coming from there of many communities that are kind of like a little bit in the, sad at the fact that shortwave has been stopped from Radio Australia. They were relying on that. I mean, a lot of Pacific Islands were relying on Radio Australia's signal to have weather, to have all sorts of information. And let's face it, and I always like to say it because I'm not a conspiracy theorist guy. I'm not that type of person. A lot of people say, well, you're an extremist when you say that. But I am not. I am a tech guy, and I understand the workings of the internet. And I can tell you one thing. Shortwave has the ability to cross the borders in countries where information can sometimes be biased or changed, even in what we consider our free press countries like Canada and the United States. The truth can be sometimes a little, kind of transformed or changed depending on who reports it and how it's reported and how you want to see the news sometimes. And shortwave gives us the ability to see the news from different point of views. Of course, you can take some and leave some. Of course, every country that is on shortwave is there for a reason. There's a little bit of, depending on the country you're listening to, yeah, there's a little bit of propaganda. I mean, we all want to give our point of view and our way of thinking of things, which is all right. And we take all of that together and we just, make our own point of view. And I think us as shortwave listeners are probably more advanced in our way of thinking of world events because of our knowledge, our better knowledge of the world than the average person, probably. So welcome aboard. My name is Gilles and we are located in Montreal, Quebec, Canada, and of course we talk about radio today. And I've got some questions here. So I've got a little bit of a questions and answer. I've got my pad full of questions. I've got, we're going to talk a little bit about some of the things that are happening and be really interesting. Really interesting to talk about radio today. So hello there. First in the IRC chat room, SG2 East Nebraska. Nice to have you here. 64 Fahrenheit, partly cloudy. We have, of course, in our regular chat room of the show, PLF Radio from France. And yeah, I will do some tuning today, absolutely, PLF Radio. Ethan Best, nice to have you on board. Dean Allison, hello there. This is so true about being more aware of geopolitical events. Shortwave is very much alive. Absolutely, I think we have a different point of view in many world events because of our shortwave hobby, which I actually find interesting. I like to, I like when people talk about world events and are not shortwave listeners. They're just regular folks, and we are a gang of shortwave listeners, and often we have our own point of view, which is different because of all the point of views, all the news from everywhere. We kind of understand things a little differently. So it's kind of cool. What is there? Big Bench Enton, nice to have you here. Neil Thumes, we have Edwin Toman, nice to have you here. Pretty cool. From what do we have? We have, so Dean Allison, welcome aboard. We have Ethan Best. Shortwave listeners are truly cultured. Yes, I do think so. Especially if you listen a lot and listen to the programs that are headed our way. I think we are in a sense. Don Brown, hello there from La Belle, Florida, USA. Nice to have you here. Richard Cook, nice to have you here. So I guess Australia, you heard this afternoon, was HCJB Australia, I would guess, 9720. What else do we have? Mad Radio DXer, nice to have you here. Dan 805, and yes, it's Friday the 13th. So today, I guess the universe is playing us a Friday the 13th joke with some geomagnetic storming in our shortwave listening evening. Ivan Tini, nice to have you here from East Texas. Daniel Walsh, happy Friday. Sheldon Harvey from Greenfield Park, nice to have you here. Says, look at that, 10,000 AM FM shortwave radios were just sent to Puerto Rico for hurricane relief. Gives you an idea that it's a major way of communication. Gary Klennertz, nice to have you here. Pretty cool to have all of you here. John Ritson, nice to have you here. Says current Aurora K is 6.7, so HF not necessarily that good, but you never know what might crop up. Absolutely, and sometimes it enhances some regions, so we might have surprise catches, maybe from South America. Carl Tench, nice to have you here. WA9204SWL, nice to have you on board, Dave, in Illinois. We have MDK2, we have Bobby Burgess. Skywave Schedules, hello there, nice to have you here. What else do we have? Anything I've missed, please say hello. If I've not mentioned your name, please say hello. Nice to have you here. Everyone, I'm sure I've missed some people that I just went through, and I see names sometimes and I'm like, okay. What else do we have? So Anton Toma, let's just, I'm going down to chat a little bit. Hey, Valtz from Latvia, nice to have you here. G. Bryden, nice to have you here from Toronto, Canada. Howard Parker, hello there, Howard. M0AYO from England. Randall Clance, hey there from Chicago, Northwest Suburbs. SWL60N, hello there. Nice to have you here. Pretty cool to have everybody on board here. It's really fun to see everyone. And Jerry, nice to have you here. Got a Whistler TRX1 on order. You're gonna love it. You're gonna love it. That's for sure. You're really gonna love it. What else do we have? What else do we have? WRMI on 11580 it's stereo. Yeah, I just heard it a few minutes ago. I wish I can get my hands on a CountyCom. Yeah, they are nice. Pretty nice. They have a new generation. I believe they're upgraded to like the 3rd or 4th generation now. So probably with some little updates and things that make it a little better. And Lewis 65, hey, nice to have you here. 512 the Watchmaker, nice to have you on board. Tony Ivy, hello there. So nice to have you on board from North Carolina. What else do we have here? SWL60N says the movie Shortwave has premiere in the US on October 24, 2017. A modern and unrelentingly tense psychological thriller based on the theory of the origins of shortwave radio frequencies. Huh, that could be an interesting... You know, any movie that has some radio, some kind of radio side to it is always kind of interesting to look at. I actually enjoy, you know, a lot of movies made that, like you see these, like, you know, military guys or these, you know, really high-tech rooms in some sci-fi movies to just see that there's a shortwave radio in one corner and it's tuned to some weird frequency that you're like, yeah, right, you know. It's like, okay. Of course, for 90% of the population, it's just like, oh, look at that, military radio or something. For us, it's like, it's not even tuned to the right frequency. It's the first thing we notice, you know. A few movies that I watched over the years, and I would see, I remember seeing one about a guy that was trying to call for help, and it was like the radio was like on a you know, it was supposed to like call is military base or something, and I look at the frequency, it was like in the 20-meter band of the amateur radio band, and I'm like, huh, really? You're calling your military band in the 20-meter band? Okay. So, you know, there's a lot of things like that. It's like, okay, you know, it's always kind of a little funny. So, Jill Gulick, nice to have you here. And, you know, we're going to check out. It's a mixed bag. I was tuning around. I got to say, it's a mixed bag in the propagation department. There's some things there. I heard some stations on the 20-meter band. There are some things that are kind of weak and not really there. So it's really a mixed bag in there for sure. So we have Mr. Cat that wants to come over. Come on. Say hi to everyone. So, and if the camera is moving, it's because Mr. Cat has one of his paws. Okay. There you go. Here's Mr. Cat for everybody. Hello there, Mr. Paul. So Mr. Cat is here to say hi to everyone. Hey, look at the camera. Look at the camera. He doesn't want to look at the camera. So anyways, you know, it's kind of interesting to see all of that anyways, and in the relationship, you know, with the in relation to the, you know, the movies and radio and everything. It's kind of funny. And so, yep, we'll tune a little bit. We'll see what propagation gives us. Vaults, I was thinking about the same thing when you were talking about that. I was thinking that I was not set up tonight to do it, but next Friday, that like propagation is really bad. I think that could be a good idea. Switch to satellite listening. That would not be affected by you know, the bad propagation. Nick Amendo from Romania, hello there. I saw you at the beginning, forgot to mention you. Hello, welcome aboard. And it's really a porn with some ham radio in it. Okay, Kind of interesting. A ham radio porn movie. Ah, that's interesting. I was about to do a really bad joke here, and I'm not. Let's keep it for all ages on the channel. So Richard Cook's receiving KBS World Radio, German on 3955. Yeah, that one is relayed. What else do we have? Dean Allison say, yeah, I saw a movie where the military were using FRG7. Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of things like that. It's like, okay. I remember one movie. I can't remember the movie, but I remember seeing distinctly that they had a realistic DX302, which was the radio I was using back then, and thinking, okay. And they were pretending that it was a transceiver. So they had like a microphone, obviously hooked to nothing, and they were pretending that it was a transceiver. I was like, oh, okay, that's kind of interesting. They're using the realistic DX302 as a transceiver now. That's funny. I can't do that with mine. Jelgalik says, new radios from Texan and C-Crane also show hobby is not dead. Absolutely. That's also something that you gotta take into account. I mean, these companies are making these radios. That means these radios sell, because I mean, you don't make radios if you can't sell them. That's for sure. Ralph Bender, hello there. Nice to have you here. Daniel 05 says, there was a movie called Pirate Radio USA. Sadly, no shortwave pirates, only FM broadcast. That would have been nice, a movie about shortwave pirates. That would have been nice. Neil Toombs says 3955 loud and clear. And that's more for European listeners, for sure. Sear Darklist, hello there. Nice to have you on board. And yes, DX is here saying hello. Pretty cool. Skywave schedule said I have a Texan PL365. Great radio, yeah. It's the same as the CountyCom GP5 SSB. Love mine. I've been using it quite regularly. So really nice. Really nice. Dean Allison says, beautiful kitty cat, need to see more. Everybody wants to see more. They don't want to see me, they want to see the cat. So here's he's right on me right now. Look at that. So this is the star of the show. The real star of the show is here. It's Mr. Paul the cat. Forget about me, so I'll be leaving, guys. I'll let you with Paul the cat. He should entertain you for the next few hours. So nice to have everybody on board. There's this weird sound that I'm actually wondering where it comes from. I think it's the neighbors, but it's so weird. Really weird. So anyways, nice to have you here. Mickey Dalmash, nice to have you here. Says good afternoon. And sure looks the propagation was amazing last week. I gotta say that the past week in propagation was one of the most amazing in a long time that I've had. I've heard so many things, so many signals that were just so cool. And unfortunately now propagation really took a dive, I can tell you that. So welcome aboard, Mickey. Nice to have you here. Andy K2 says, hope you have pet health insurance for Paul. Just had to get radiation for lymphoma on my cat, and my wallet is $6,000 lighter, and I won't be upgrading my receivers anytime soon. No, I need to get that, absolutely. He's but when a month or two ago he was sneezing a lot, and I was like, man, I'm gonna have to go to the vet, and the vet, you know, costs a fortune. And I really need to get pet insurance to really bring down the and I need to, because I mean, if you know, if the vet would tell me, oh, it's going to cost five grand, I don't have $5 to put on my cat, and I know I would be really sad, because I was like, okay, I'm going to have to put away the cat because I don't have the cash for it. So I need to get pet insurance, absolutely. I'm going to check that out. I have to go and check out some of for my home insurance and everything. I want to ask questions and change a few things. I'm gonna ask for pet insurance at the same time, how it works, and if they offer it with my insurance that I have right now. Because yeah, with a vet is just incredibly expensive. So Sir Darkless says Radio Porno International. I'm surprised there's no pirate station that has used that avenue of, like, you know, porn radio pirate international or something. And, you know, a QSL with, like, you know, I don't know, beautiful women or something. I'm surprised that it didn't happen yet. Buzzer. I've not heard the buzzer in a couple of weeks. Even with the really good propagation of last week, I was hoping that the buzzer would make it. And nope, no buzzer. I can tell you that. Ham radio and sex together, how unrealistic. Yes, it is Friday the 13th. Absolutely. So, BBC World Service in Hausa, 15490, solid copy into Denver. Wow, pretty good. Pretty good. Let's check out if I hear something there. Anything in there? And here is. There is something, but it's too weak for me to make out. But there's definitely a signal there. And apart from my lines of noise, there's not that much going on. So here, Mr. DX, thank you for saying hi. So what else do we have here? What else do we have here? Let me just check out. Slowly coming down. Yeah, exactly, Matter Radio DX. So we're gonna focus on the cat and the views. Neil Tim says, "Yo, there's a shortwave radio on the shelves of Sheldon's flat on the Big Band Theory." Aha. What else do we have? Well, you know, Sir Douglas, I think they have them for all purpose. Of course, the AM FM part, but you know, if you're about to give radios to an area that has a lot of, you know, damage due to hurricanes, for example, might as well have shortwave on them at the same time. And I mean, for Spanish language, there's quite some things to listen to out there for sure. But of course, you know, what part of them are using shortwave and AM FM, I don't know. Svetlana Rodriguez, nice to have you here. Good afternoon. Steve B from Australia. Steve and Maxine, nice to have both of you here. I'm in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. Scott Robson, nice to have you here. Nice to have you here. Shut up and let DX host. That's it. I'm leaving. I'm drinking my beer and I'm leaving DX alone. Richard says 12095 BBC swing frequency you can hear. 12095. Let's check it out. Not too bad. So the BBC World Service in English on 12095 from Ascension Islands in the South Atlantic Ocean. I believe Jerry was the one who sent me an email saying that, was it last weekend, Jerry, that you've heard St. Helena Island in the South Atlantic Ocean? William Helms, hey there, nice to have you on board, and always nice to have everybody here. Jim Kaysen, hello there, and yeah, he's going around. When I talk too much, he gets bored and he goes into the bedroom and just sleeps there alone. I'm Mapper from Moscow, nice to have you here. Pretty cool, pretty cool. And yeah. Well, my cat indicated to sneeze like hell. I mean, for about 2 weeks, really sneezing a lot, and I was like, okay, what do I do? You know, do I bring it to the vet, or what do I do now? And what I was thinking is, well, if he still wants to go out, if he still wants, and he still heats, I guess it's like a common cold or something. And it was funny because at night he likes to sleep next to me, and sometimes he wakes up and looks at me. And now he was sneezing in my face every night, and I was like, oh man, I hate it. You know, it's kind of not fun to have that sneezing in your face. It's not the moment you like with your cat. Neil Braden says, I have a question. I have a Wellbrook loop. Would I see any difference between mounting in the attic versus backyard? If the backyard is quieter in noise, you probably could see, yes, a difference. But I've seen a few videos of people that have Wellbrook in the attic. I know, I think it's Richard Cook that has the Wellbrook inside his home. Seems to work really well. It all depends on how what material the house is made with, and also, is there less noise in the backyard than there is in your attic? That could make a difference. You would have to try it out, but there might not be that much of a difference either. It all depends on the noise level and what your house is made from. If it's made mostly of wood, there would probably not be a lot of attenuation of signal from that. Oops, sorry guys. I think I just moved the camera a little bit. I actually accidentally knocked it over a little with my feet. So that's pretty much it. But yeah, there might be an improvement. Maybe not that much either. You would have to do the test basically. So any Mac OS SDR programs? That's a good question. I've not checked that out, so I don't know. Anybody using a Mac with a software-defined radio? What are you using? Oh, Cubic SDR for Mac. That's MDK2 saying. Cubic SDR for Mac. Talking of a Wellbrook, I am now seriously looking at the possibility of getting one, but not a Wellbrook. There's a magnetic loop sold by an American amateur radio operator, W6 something. And I was looking at his products the other day on the, actually we talked about it in one of the shows, and I was looking at the products on the website. Pretty much the same as a Wellbrook, with the added bonus that for me in Canada costs, I'm going to spend less money for everything and have a possibility of 30-day warranty where I try it, and if I don't like it, I just, if it doesn't do what I hope it did, send it back, get a refund. So if I can manage to get the cash, I will probably order one of those antennas instead of a Wellbrook. It is a magnetic loop. It seems to be very high quality, and the guy sells it for $295 US. So that is kind of interesting. Actually, it's 200. The antenna only is $245 US. Plus the shipping would be like $295. Would cost me like $295 US. And it looks well made. It looks to be very good in what it does. He even compares it to the Wellbrook. It seems to be on par, pretty much the same thing. So I think there's the possibility I'm going to try to get that as soon as I can, for sure. So it reminds me of a client of mine, Dan805 says, my internet connection was going out, and when it reconnected, all I heard was porn, and I thought, what? Reminds me of a client of mine that her husband, actually, I go to fix her computer. You guys like these stories anyways. I go to fix her computer, and she tells me, well, there's a problem with our PC. There's naked women that appear randomly on the screen. So, of course, you know, married couple and children and everything. So, you know, I'm the kind of guy that's very low profile on everything. It's like it's none of my business. And she, you know, she always tells me, I don't know why it happens. Me and my husband, we don't watch porn. And in my head, it was like, yeah, maybe not you, but your husband surely does, or somebody does, because porn doesn't appear by magic on your PC. And so I fixed the computer and everything. It's okay. She calls me back about a month later, and she says, well, you know, you came here to fix a problem where random porn was popping up. Well, we got it again. So I said, oh, okay. And she said, are we going to have to pay for the services again? And I said, yeah, you sure do. It's not my problem. If you've got that coming back, it's your fault. You're doing something that you shouldn't be doing. And so she gets mad on the phone saying, well, I'm not going to pay and you should come here for free. So I just, after like 30 seconds of her like trying to say that I'm double crosser and whatever, I say, look, ma'am, your husband is watching porn and you don't know it. So, okay, you want me to fix it or not? And she says, there's like a pause. And she says, well, I don't think my husband doing that. I think you should have a conversation with your husband. Because, yes, it doesn't appear magically on your computer. So, good luck. I just hung up. You know, these days are just so funny. Okay, let me go back here and look at the chat a little bit. I'm a little far back, so if I see things that... If I'm talking about something that happened in the chat like 20 minutes ago, you guys know why. Yeah. A cat telling you that you bore him is pretty bad, yep. No, actually, he's bored because I'm talking to somebody else. He's not bored when I actually direct the attention directly to him. Paul Sharp, nice to have you here. DHR Williamson, nice to have you here. And no worry, my cat is fine. We're just talking about pet insurance too, in case of Paul having something. So, but my cat is crazy. Every time, you know, it's funny because, you know, Sir Darkless says, oh, I love when my late cat slept with me, and you know what? It's just so funny because he arrives every night is the same pattern, you know. He goes outside and he around midnight he comes back home, eats, and then he sleeps. But he usually sleeps in his chair. But it's just so funny because if I get off my chair and start going towards the bedroom, I see him like looking at me like, oh, is he going to sleep? And as soon as I enter the bedroom and I lie down, I hear his little paws on the floor because I hear him coming, and he just jumps, and like every night he just sleeps next to me. It's every night it does that. It's kind of cute. I like it. I gotta say, it's fun. Svetlana Rodriguez says, I was listening to a station on 9955 kilohertz around 2000 UT in English with no ID. I could hear. Does anyone know what it is? Most of the news was talk about the USA and its allies. 9955 is WRMI frequency. So it's either WRMI itself somehow or a relay of WRMI. And you say around 2000 UT. So if we look at what's at 2000 hours UTC on 9955, chances are it was so on 9955 there's several things. It depends on the day you were listening to, but there's Studio DX at 2030 on Sundays. There's Radio Prague in English 20 to 2030 almost every day apparently. So you know there's different stations, but at the most basic level, you're listening to WRMI, which is 9955 frequency. So for sure. Neil Braddon, nice to have you here. Bobby Burgess, so did you answer my question about the macOS SDR program? MDK2 says there is cubic SDR, yeah. Oh yeah, that one I seen. 18 best GQRX also for macOS, absolutely. So cubic SDR and GQRX, two software for macOS for SDR. Yeah, not necessarily Mad Radio DX. A lot of Linux stuff don't really work in macOS. There's kind of a variation Mad Radio DX within the basic is the Unix language, but there is a modification in macOS on how it is working, which doesn't make them run natively basically most of the time. So oh, it's the same guy. I didn't know that's Chris Molinsky, guy who runs HF Underground site. Also does the Black Cat system software. Oh yeah, I didn't know it's the same guy. That's interesting. No, not on eBay. He's got a web page, Jerry. The guy's got a web page, basically, and it's the guy sells both a magnetic loop for just the listener, a magnetic loop with a switch box for the amateur radio that wants to listen and also transmit. There's a lot of things, so I'm just going to, well, I'll post the link here. I'm just going to show you guys. I'll open another browser. It's messing up here. Okay, so the W6 magnetic loop. I'm going to show you guys the web page. So W6, yep. So just give you guys the main web page, and here you'll see the products of the magnetic loops that the guy sells, basically. And here they are. Boop. And of course, it gets full refund if you don't like it. So I think I want to check it out. No, Linux and Mac have there's a different. Linux and Mac OS, Mad Radio DXer, are based on Unix. Both of them. Both of them have the same basic Unix similarities, but they are different, and different to a point where you cannot, you cannot use a Linux thing on a Mac, or you cannot program on a Mac, or you cannot use a Unix thing on a Mac OS or whatever on Linux. There are some differences. It is basically based on the same Unix basics, but it is different. So you can't do that. You can't run a Linux program on a Mac OS. It's very different. Very different. What else do we have here? What else do we have here? Let me just go to the area. Well, 41 meter is very good here. Really cool. Really cool. Yeah, no, Dan in 05 didn't even clear his history. It's just that, remember that 90% of people don't know much about anything about computers. So basically, you got to just remember that 90% of the people don't even know there's a history you can look at to see what people went to see, not a long time ago. So, but it's just, yes, the choice of working in IT, absolutely. So many times, You know, little things like that happen, and you're like, huh, okay. You just got to, you know. But Householder, nice to have you here. Says the bands have been a bit frugal here in Ohio. Yeah, it's the K2 says I sleep on my stomach and my cat will sleep on my butt sometimes. Oh man, it's funny. If I sleep, I always sleep on the side. If I sleep on one side, he's always in front of me, where's my face. And if I turn, he actually crosses over me and wants to stay always facing me. It's just weird. It's like, doesn't matter. For him, it seems to matter, I guess. Jerry says, had a pirate on the 80 meter man 2 nights ago. Oh, really? Milton says 7265 CRI in Italian, very loud. Let's check the 41 meter band just for the fun of it here, and see what we can hear, if there's anything to hear. So, let's check out signals like this. Is a very big powerhouse one also.
Contact 73 Lorenzo at Chalchovabena, and I corrected your call. I have a volcano. Hotel Fox, Ontario with the suffix. Sorry about that. Italy Kilowatt Zero, Hotel Fox, Ontario from Kilowatt Echo 1 Yankee. Buonanotte.
That ain't big DX. Kilowatt Echo 1 Yankee. There's another one here. Let's see if he comes back. So, Glenn Goodell, where can I get CD to learn questions for general class license? I would contact any amateur radio club. I'm sure you can get something there. Romania on 6170. Let's check it out. Romania. They're not very strong though. Aren't they on 9.7 something? Check it out. There's a signal here. Oh yeah, that's the teletype signal. Anything on 7 megahertz? Yeah, signals are not the best. I've seen better signals for sure. So Radio Romania is rather weak, 6170. Compared to what I'm used to. What's this big powerhouse thing here? Oh, here. This is Boston. Hey, let's check out if we can decode a little Boston weather facts here. See if facts. Let's check it out. Let's check it out. I'm going to leave it like that. So what else do we have here? Andrew, thanks for the correction. Yeah, it is. It's the base. Like I said, the basics of it's all of the basics of Unix, but it's different. It's very different. What else do we have here? Can I do something about that? Yeah, on this Sir Dark Lust, Bobby Burgess has a very unique humor. So it you should not have. In this case, you should not have banned him. But I understand that, you know, sometimes it can be, we're not sure. So, yeah, that also, Neil Toombs, seems 90% of the people don't know much of anything nowadays. That's also true. So, kind of interesting. Okay. So, the end of the chart, the Ocean Prediction Center. We'll see if something else pops up and see if we can decode the next chart. But that's very beautiful decode, very little noise. Look at that. Very, very nice. Oh, another chart coming. Wow, you got 6 inches of snow in Denver. Whoa, I don't want to have that yet. We might have our first freezing on Monday night. They say that Montreal might be close to 0 Monday night. So we might have our first freeze, which usually means we're getting there into that moment in time where... So here we go. Decoding going by. Wow, beat Anchorage for the first snow of the season. That's something. That's really weird, basically. That's really weird. Yeah, that's probably it, DHR Williamson. If I turn my back on him, it's probably what he doesn't like. It's like I'm ignoring. So, well, I would lift the ban if you can on Sir Dark List, Bobby. So this is Boston, Massachusetts, with their weather charts. Really nice. And very, very clear decode. Look at that. One of the clearest decode I've seen in a long time. Big Ben Chanton says, Parrot sent new pictures on 6925. Oh, that's possible. I've never got one, but really nice to have you here. Hey, Ernie Turner, nice to have you here. VK3DET, nice to have you on board from Australia. Always nice to have all of you here. David Walker, hello there, nice to have you here. And new cumulative update for 16299. Thanks for the plug. I'll be checking that out after the show. And I've not been able to, I don't know if it's fixed yet, but I've not been able to upgrade to the latest build of Redstone 4, 17017, for sure. Neil Toombs, this is multi-PSK. Multi-PSK. And for decoding weather charts, I've not found any software that does it better than this one. The interface is horrible, but for decoding weather charts, it is amazingly good. And so multi-PSK, I'll give you a link if you want, for those that want to see this software. So multi-PSK is free. The only thing that's not free is there's professional modes. Some of them require you to pay for the professional modes. But apart from that, it is an amazing piece of software for decoding, and it decodes a lot of stuff. I mean, the number of modes in here is just amazing. Now, it doesn't do all the modes perfectly. For example, JT65, I would not use this. I'll use WSBR, or I'll use JT65HF, which decodes multiple signals at the same time. But for most of them, it is an amazing piece of software, and it does pretty well what it needs to do. Copy. So here is the link. There we go. Yeah. All the interface makes me crazy. I mean, I sometimes need 5 minutes to find a mode I want in there. I remember I wanted to decode BPSK31, that's on the upper left corner there, and it took me minimum 5 minutes before I saw, man, it's on the upper left corner right here. Same with fax. It took me an eternity to find the damn fax button. I was like, where is that? So it's obvious when you got it in your face, but when it's not in your face, it's, where the hell is that? You know, if I ask you to, I don't know, I ask you to decode radio teletype, you got to go here. Now I see it here because I use it regularly, RTTY 45 for amateur radio. But you got to search and you're like, man, what is that? It's kind of a little difficult, but it works well though. It has different modes than FLDG. Yes, there are some modes, a lot of modes in here that do not appear in FLDG. Somebody that wants to decode digital signals on the shortwave bands regularly, and multi-PSK and FLDG should both be on your PC, because this one does most better. Also, this decodes the weather charts much better than FLDG that often has breaks. FLDG has some sync problems within the decoding. It often breaks the picture, and I get this I quite regularly. People telling me, oh man, you know what? I tried to decode the weather chart and it breaks everywhere. And I always tell everyone, use multi-PSK for that, because it works better. It works better than FLDG. And there are some stuff in here that's not in FLDG, and there's the professional modes that also have some specific modes that are very interesting. So it's quite a good program to have. The problem is, it's a little difficult. Sometimes you'll choose a mode, and you got to understand that some of the mode settings are in the interface on the left here, and it's not always, or very often, difficult to understand where to change the speed settings and stuff like that. It's not always easy, and that's, you know, that's the sad part of multi-PSK, because for the rest, for decoding, it's amazingly good, amazingly good. It's just really, really crazy. So here I got a little chop off from so these are clear decodes, you know, of the weather patterns and the highs and the lows and everything. It's really nice. The decoding is really, really good here, I can tell you that. Two Hands on the Radio, nice to have you here. One of the things, Mad Radio DXer, by the way, and anybody that decodes weather charts here, try not to play with your computer while it's doing it, especially if you have an older machine. What I've noticed is that when you decode a chart, it requires enough CPU that if you change things, and look at that, I'm gonna play around a little bit, okay? I'm gonna go here. I'm gonna check that out. Let's say I lower the volume a little bit. Let me go back to multi-PSK. Now I don't know if it's gonna do it. Maybe it's not gonna do it. But if you play too much with this, you know, going around with different programs while it's decoding, you risk of chopping the charts. It seems like it doesn't like the fact that your CPU is dedicated to some other things also. So it doesn't work well with, like, you know, it wants you to leave it alone decoding the chart when you're doing that, especially on a newer PC. A newer PC. You know, like my i5, it's okay. I can do a thousand things and it's okay. But on PCs that are a little older, that the CPU is already maxed out, it's really, really amazing. This is Boston, and this is Florida. This is probably the Pacific. So it says here stormy. So there's a low here. I don't know if that's what's the one, but if you look at, this is the East Coast. Florida's down here. This is Cuba. So we see that this is the Atlantic Ocean. So it's kind of interesting. I should record it. There we go. So maybe it's in here, but I'm not sure because I don't see. I don't know. It must be pretty far in the Atlantic Ocean when I look at it. So here we've got 0. So here's 0. 0, which is pretty much Greenwich. So I would guess in this chart the low is probably there. It'd be fun to have a satellite image. The satellite image would be very, very clear, showing us that. Yeah, it's further up. Yeah, there is some Black Cat system software that is for Mac, by the way, absolutely. So FLDG at least works for a Mac, so that's also something that's kind of nice. So this one, I'm going to shift the white line. So this is going to be a little chopped up. So this is the waves, 96-hour wind and wave in meters. So this is the ocean waves. They're going to show up. So it's going to be a little broken here, but it should be okay starting here. I hope. So Skywave says, Skywave Schedule says, I got a dedicated Marine Weatherfax unit in the loft. Works pretty good, but just so handy on the PC. Need paper for it. Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of Black Cat systems apps for Android and iOS also. On the Google Play Store and the Apple App Store. They have a lot of radio-related apps for iPhone and for Android phone and tablets. Also. So this is. So I'm sure that. So this is what I would think is the southern part of Greenland, which would mean that the storm must be somewhere here, which means the waves in meters. Here it says 5 meters. These are pretty big waves. So I wouldn't be surprised. So here is. Would that be Great Britain here or something? Or is it too far? I'm trying to find a pattern or something that I can rely on here. But 5 meters. These are really big waves. I wouldn't be surprised that the storm would be, this thing would be the storm here. I wouldn't be surprised this is the storm of the storm going up towards the UK. I would guess. My guess is this is Greenland, so this is the western part of the UK or somewhere. This is the waves, 5 meter waves. I think so. So it's kind of nice. And yeah, it's a very weird hurricane, by the way, because it's moving in a direction. Yeah, exactly, Ethan Best. That's what I'm thinking. So we see here the rotation and everything. Yeah, that's what I think. I think this is the wave chart for the hurricane on the ocean. Pretty much. Oh, that would be. Okay, look at that. We're going to see more land here. So this is maybe, I don't know. This is weird. But it looks like it. It could be this. But this is it still pretty low in the Atlantic? I was wondering where it is actually right now. Let me just check it out here. So right now, Monday, okay. It is still very low. So this is, look at that, guys. This is the storm. It's still pretty much at the level of the tropics right now. So Hurricane Ophelia, and look at that, 9 meter waves in the middle here. This is a storm. 9 meter waves here. And it would pretty much go with where it seems to be according to the map I've got here. So I think this is the storm with 9 meter waves. This is very, very big waves. And this is the one going up there. Pretty, I'm playing Weatherman right now. So welcome to the Weather Channel. We will predict with these old weather facts from Shortwave what time it will, what weather will be in your area soon today. So nice to have you on board, W26BT7000. Robert Babcock, nice to have you on board. Thank you for nice comments. And yeah, these are really, really 1 meter. Josie Wells, 1 meter is 3 feet and 6 inches. So 1 meter is exactly 3 feet 6 inches. So 9 times 3 feet 6 inches. That's going to give you the height of the waves. It's like 30 feet, over 30 feet waves. So David Walker, new weatherman job. And today across the UK, it will be stormy. Yeah, hurricane is near Florida. So Florida is here. This is a hurricane. This is Ophelia right now. That is what is moving towards the UK that they were showing us. So nice to have you on board, Jose Wales. What else do we have? So hello, 26BT7000. Nice to have you here. Svetlana Rodriguez. Hey, K6YYL. Nice to have you on board, my friend from California. I am new to decoding. What cords do you need to transfer the signal from your radio to the computer? Do older shortwave radios work with this? Let's have a little basics on that, okay? And to do a little basics on that, I'm gonna get a portable radio, and so I'll show all possibilities. Basically, okay, we're back. So, what usually people will use, and what you usually need, and these are found pretty much everywhere, on the internet, on eBay for really cheap. I've got an electronics store right next door here that sells them. Simply a audio cable that has the same, it's the same type of plug that you've got on most, you know, Walkman or cell phones, or you know, it's an 1/8 inch audio cable. Mono stereo doesn't matter; it's still gonna work. So basically, the best thing you could do would be to use one of those, and you can put it on the either the headphone jack of your radio, in which case you will not hear the sound, so you'll have to enable something called stereo mix in a computer for you to hear the sound within your machine at the same time. I think there's in Windows a little check mark that you can say, well, let me hear what I have in the microphone jack of my computer. But the good news is, even if you don't have one of those, it doesn't matter. If it's quiet, okay, and you've got a laptop, for example, just the audio of the radio going in the microphone of your computer is often good enough for you to decode digital notes. So that, at the most basics, if you don't have the cable, you can still try that, and you know what, if it's quiet, it works quite well. It's surprising. Here I'm using the internals of the computer, because this is the software. I've got stereo mix in here, which means that the audio is fed from the software here into this software for the decoding to happen. So in this case, I have no cable hooked up. It's doing all of that internally within the computer. But the best, if you want to have clear decodes, would be to use one of those cables. Headphone jack of your radio will work. Some radios have a line out, which is even better. Using the line out will not mute the audio of your radio, so it's even better. But if you don't, you can use the headphone jack. Most signals that you decode require you to have single sideband on the radio. So you'll need a receiver that has upper sideband capabilities or single sideband capabilities in order to decode most signals. There are some exceptions to the rule. There's things like the radiogram, the VOA radiogram that are on WRMI in the weekends. They don't require you to have single sideband. Just a regular little portable radio on AM mode and putting the software in the correct mode will let you decode. And like I said, if you don't have a cable, just the audio off the radio into the microphone of your laptop or computer often does the job. It's just that if there's some noise around, the quality of the decode won't be good. So it is a hurricane, I believe, right now. Category 1 or something. So, what else do we have here? To be honest, I want that channel. Oh man. Doing a mono or stereo doesn't matter because most of these sold are stereo. They have two little black separations here because there's the ground, there's the left and the right. Some are mono, so they have only one little black line, which is just left, just the ground and the sound, if you want. But it doesn't matter. That is not important. Stereo or mono will work on any computer for decoding, for sure. Dave Toth, nice to have you here. Hey, Sir Dark Lust, welcome back. What else do we have here? What else do we have here? Yeah, you do need SSB, absolutely. 90% of the digital signals you'll want to decode are going to be in SSB. Yeah, this is a Texan PL680, absolutely. That's the way it's going to work. SWL France, SDR, hello, bonjour, bienvenue. La baguette, saucisse, fromage. Send me a little bit of that. Maybe some, yeah, baguette and sausage and cheese. Yeah, why not? One of the things that's going to happen, and that I want to stress out though, is that if you use, what is that? This is the 96-hour wave period forecast. Direction. Values indicate the dominant wave period in seconds. Arrows show direction of dominant waves. So the dominant waves, it's going to be interesting to see when we get down there. So this is Greenland. This is the northern part of the province of Quebec, with Hudson's Bay and James Bay right here at the bottom showing up. Very neat, very good decode here. And this is clearly the UK showing up in here. Very nice. These are nice charts. So they're a little off. You see a part of it. A part of what's here is here, but nice charts. So for the frequencies for digital modes, it depends on the digital modes. Two hands in a radio. Digital modes, they're basically two types of digital modes you'll want to decode. Amateur radio related digital modes and utility signals that have digital mode. So this one is a utility signal that has digital mode. This is Boston, Massachusetts maritime weather charts being sent out. For that, if you want to decode weather charts, there's NOAA has an amazing PDF of, and I'm gonna put the link for those that don't know, NOAA weather HF weather facts. I never remember facts schedules. So this, yeah, this is the best you can have. So this is updated regularly. It is the full schedules of the worldwide facts, weather facts that you can receive from different countries. It's updated once a year, depending if there are changes or not. And basically that one will give you all the frequencies and times that you can listen to weather facts charts and decode them like this. There's NavText also, that is text weather being sent out. Other types of signals that you'll have is the amateur radio bands. The bottom part of almost every amateur radio band, in the first 100 kilohertz or so, you'll have different modes. JT65, PSK31, radio teletype, RTTY45. You'll have Olivia. You'll have tons of different little things there. There's some slow scan television, which are pictures being sent over shortwave. So there's a lot of things to learn. So here are the Great Lakes, and here are the different dominant wave patterns. Kind of interesting to see. So yeah, PL680 is an amazing. So this is really a great chart. As for the rest, tune around the bands. It's very important to tune around. Remember that in the utility parts, you'll hear radio teletype, you'll hear stuff like that. A lot of it is, unfortunately, something that is encrypted, so a lot of it will not be, even though you play with the settings a lot, you'll not necessarily be able to decode anything. So there's a lot of encrypted stuff out there, but there's still a lot of unencrypted stuff to listen to, and it's really really cool to tune around in. You know, when there's nothing, I'd say the digital mode decoding for me, when there's nothing interesting in the voice land, I call that, in those stations that I feel like listening to their program, nothing really interesting on the amateur bands voice-wise, what I will do is simply you know, fire up one of these pieces of software. This is multi-PSK, but FLDG is another good one. Depending on what I decode, I'll choose one over the other. So if I decode radio teletype or PSK31, I tend to use FLDG more. Easier interface to understand and change the settings when you want to play with it. On other types like weather facts, I'll choose multi-PSK, which I find better. So it's kind of interesting, and it's really nice to play with this. And you know, it's rewarding. There's nothing more interesting than getting to the point where you're like, cool, I'm decoding a weather chart, I'm decoding an image of something from shortwave. It's just amazingly cool. So really nice. Yeah, 9915 usually is the BBC World Service from Ascension Islands. Yeah, it keeps scrolling up because what you could do is there's a little disc here. I can click that and record the image. So after it's decoded, I can actually look at it in full screen mode if I want, and just look at the picture that I decoded. So there's a lot of things. What is very nice is when they sent out satellite pictures. Now these are cool because you really see very well the different storms and everything. Is really nice. Pirate on 6880 apparently. So this is interesting. Yo, own room, nice to have you here. Says bought a PL380 and a D31MS antenna. PL380 is great. 21 shortwave channel was captured in the outdoor with the default antenna. And the D31MS, I'm sorry, but that's the crappiest thing that exists on the world. If you can return it, return it. You're wasting your time with that antenna. You know, clip a piece of wire with alligator clips. It's going to work better. What's my receiver here? It's, well, it depends what you mean. If that's what the one you were wanting. This is the Texan PL680. Nice. I love my Texan portable. The one that's working here is so let's go here. The one that's working here is the AFEDRI, A-F-E-D-R-I, software-defined radio. That's in my office, and through my home Wi-Fi network I connect to it and actually have it working on this 50-inch TV, which is really cool, I have to say, for an SDR. Nothing better than having on a 50-inch TV in your living room. It's really, really fun. What else do we have here? Lima Filas, nice to have you here. Welcome aboard. Josie Wells says, probably I have a iPad 2, old one. They don't have a mic for me to plug into. How can I work around this? Use the trick that I just told you. It has an internal microphone in the iPad. As long as it's quiet and no noise around, just with the audio, you'll be able to decode this. What makes the shift of the image? You mean the like when it shifts? It's the synchronization. Simply synchronization. You can fix it. Basically, you see, for example, if I see the black lines too far, often what I do is I shift it myself quickly here with the shift button. So I send it a little farther back there, and now it will be closer to the edge, which means it'll be more of a full map. It's just that the synchronization sometimes doesn't start at the right place. Here there's a synchro button. I don't know if it synchronizes automatically. It seems to have stopped my decoding, so I don't know. But I usually set it quickly. In the first few lines, I'll see the black line and shift it to the edge as fast as I can, so then I don't touch it anymore. Sometimes one of the things, by the way, that you'll see in a WaiterFax is a slant. The picture might be crooked in some way. If it goes down on a slant, you've got a slant adjustment also. These are the lines here. The slant will allow you to move the picture to put it straight. It sometimes goes a little on the side instead of going straight down. So let's check it out. Can I confirm BBC on 9915? Yeah, it is probably the BBC. Let's just put this out. 9915. It's almost impossible here. Very weak, but I'm sure it's BBC because I've heard that one many times. 9915. Even 12095 is getting weak now. Very weak, very weak. Signals are not good today. Shows really. Even India is not really there. 7550 for all India radio. Very weak though. Very weak compared to what I'm used to having usually. 11580 is WRMI. WRMI has been in the evenings been really on 11580. Has been really getting weak early in the evening. It shows that the days are shorter and the nights are short. Do any shortwave stations still do language lessons? Absolutely, Sir Darklist. You can have a Radio Japan Japanese lesson. You can have a China Radio International Chinese lesson. Voice of America has English lessons in other languages. I know because when I listen to their French language, Voice of America, they often have this 15-minute English lesson trying to help us in the conversation. So CRI, Radio Japan, Voice of America has English lessons. So really kind of interesting. So yeah, there are still yeah, sync only works at the start of the fax. Okay, Steve. So technically, Steve, what I do is I press the sync, and when it starts, it will auto synchronize. Is that the reason of that button? I'm gonna try it out later on, because I just noticed the sync button. It tells you the interface is so clunky. You look and you don't see half of the things, and I saw synchro. I was like, oh, that must sync the fax, I would guess. So yeah, many stations actually do them. Okay, that's so okay. Thanks, Steve. I'm gonna check that out. So there's a sync signal sent before the image. That is the first chunk of data that looks like nothing. Richard's got 7550, really strong. So really nice. Oh, really? Svetlana Rodriguez says that's how he's learned Russian and German. Wow, pretty cool. Pretty cool. Well, for that Bible stuff, there's a lot of Bible stuff, I can tell you that. Bobby Burgess says, I think Radio Romania International does language. Oh yes, I do believe they do have Romanian language. Absolutely. I think they do. And hey, I'm going to go and get myself another beer, guys. I'm having a Fin du Monde right now. I'm going to go get myself my second beer, and I'll leave you with that station. And remember that one of the ways that I stay alive doing these live shows and can really, you know, spend a lot of time is with donations. So as I get a beer, this is where you can send me some donations at paypal.me/shortwave, patreon.com/radio and computers. Helps me continue what I do. And if you are on PayPal and that link here seems to not work all the time for everyone, just go on your PayPal account and send it to that Yahoo email I just put it in the chat, and it works. It helps me tremendously, guys. You have no idea, in continuing what I do. I'm getting myself another beer. I'll be back in not even 2 seconds. And here we are, back with another beer, basically. So I'm just going to put the SDR back. So welcome aboard, everybody. We've been on for an hour, 20 minutes now. And this is the Shortwave Radio Show coming to you from Montreal, Quebec, Canada, northeast part of North America. And we, of course, have this show about radio and have a lot of fun listening, checking out radio, talking about different stuff. So we've stumbled across some digital modes, kind of interesting to see. So cheers, everybody. Here we go. So this is the Fin du Monde beer where I am, and it's a 9% beer, so it's a strong beer. That's why I'm drinking a little slowly, not to get too drunk. So cheers, everybody. And let's check it out. So what do we have here? Jerry says 6880 or something. Let's check it out here. There is a signal though. I do hear 6880 weak. There's something weak. And by the way, for those that watch my videos, I actually received laser hot hits from the UK on 6205 the other day. They were playing Brothers in Arms from Dire Straits. I was totally amazed of receiving a European pirate on 6205. Totally crazy. Really, really was fun. So really was amazing. I had a lot of fun with that, can tell you that. Bobby Burgess says 94.55 overpowers 94.45 as its QTH. Okay. And yeah, well, you know, there's so many things going wrong right now. Let's just, you know, let's not talk about the end of the world or anything, Jerry. Let's think about shortwave and stay in our little world. So it's really, really crazy. So, what else do we have here? What else do we have here? Sandman X, nice to have you here. No, I don't really, you know, Josie Wales, I don't drink Budweisers, except if somebody offers me a beer and it's a Budweiser, I will not say anything. But if I have the choice of beer, Budweiser ain't one of my beers at all. I was drinking that when I was 18, like, you know, 17, 18, you know nothing about beers, like, you don't know what to take, and you see that ad of Budweiser all the time on TV. I think that's how it works. So cheers. So Sandman X says needs to get an antenna back. Mine came down during Hurricane Harvey. Been too lazy to get it back up. You know, I'm going to tell you one thing. It usually ain't that long to put back an antenna, like you say. And I'll tell you, it's pretty much the same here. I often have, you know, now last winter didn't happen, but in the past few years I've had occasions with ice storms where the wind plus the accumulation of ice on the antenna, the wire, makes it snap. And typically when that happens, I never put it up until I really need to. So for example, it's going to be in the backyard, I'll see it there in the snow. And the only moment I decide to do the repairs and put it back up is when I sit down and I'm like, oh, I'd like to listen to radio now. And just like think, well, I got to put the wire back up if I wanted to do that. So then I go there. Or once it happened, I had an ice storm, the wire snapped, and I was doing a live show with tuning the bands. I was like, okay, I got to put my wire antenna back up because I'm tuning the bands on the live show today, so I have to do it. So sometimes I need a little, you know, kick in the butt, I'd say. Oh man, Daniel 5 says, Shortwave is full of all sorts of religious stations, by the way. When VOA does English lessons, is that in a way how people in foreign countries learn English? You know what? I've heard stories, honestly. I've heard stories that, yes, some people claim that it helped them learn some English, some functional English. And they're you know, of course, I listen to that, and I do find it's done in an interesting way. You know, it's by trying to get you to say different phrases that might be useful if you go in another country. But I've heard many people over the years that seem to have learned language or enough of a functional language to work in that language or to speak with someone on different stations. So I guess it does work. I guess it does work. You know, I was surprising myself the other day. I was actually preparing supper, and while I was cooking, China radio was on, and they were having their Chinese lessons, and I was actually trying to pronounce the words, and even after I was eating, I was trying to remember, okay, that word was this, and that word was that. I was like, you know, that's how it starts at some point. SWL France, prends un autre, une bière, ce n'est pas suffisant. Lima Villas, cheers. So yeah, you know, it's I think some people do absolutely. So you know, 26 BT 7000 says West Mall triple nice beer from Belgium. Okay, I need to check that out. I need to go and check my beer at the official liquor stores, because they have very unique beers from different countries that I'd like to check out for sure. Don't get too drunk or you'll get mad and start calling people out like last week's show. Well, no, you know what? It's not even getting drunk that does that for me. It's just when I talk a little too long about somebody that's making me mad. What time is it in Canada right now? Well, if you want to have the whole of Canada, it depends where you live. But here in Montreal, and I'm on the eastern time zone of the east coast of North America. So it's right now 5:30 p.m. So we're getting into our evening. The sun is setting in about 45 minutes here. PLF Radio Show. What is, was it the first time you ever got laser hot hits? Yeah, absolutely. I had never gotten laser hot hits. I had before received other European pirates though. I did hear a few European pirates at around the 6200, 6300 kilohertz range a few times, but it was the first time for laser hot hits, absolutely. MDK2 says, when the show drinks a lot, show goes very late. So you guys want me to drink so the show lasts for 6 hours. William Helm says, record with an MP3 and playback later through the Decode app. Yes, that's actually an excellent idea also, William. If you are unable to decode at the time, because one of the things that you will not like with the fact that if you plug directly into a laptop, a portable, this might actually bring a lot of noise within your radio, and that will ruin your decoding experience. So one of the things you could do is actually use an MP3 recorder or anything that you have. If you have your smartphone, record it on your smartphone and play back the audio after and decode it with your PC. Like that, you'll have a clean decode. So, what is the white and black data scroll in the middle of the screen? Dan Walsh, hi there. Are you talking about this or what I was doing before? I guess I was doing before, maybe. Richard Cook's been receiving Pyongyang on 6400. Pretty good, pretty good. Richard Tribble, nice to have you on board from Sherbrooke. And pretty cool to have everybody here, by the way. Really, really nice. What else do we have here? Oh, my nephew is saying, do you want to have a retro gaming night tonight? I don't know. We'll see if I'm too tired or not to do this after the show. Fastlow, nice to have you on board. Absolutely. Nice to have you on board. What else do we have here? Just checking out. Oh yeah, I know that place. I never went there. I should check that out. There's a so Mario the Exorcist. So the new BBC Korean service was Korean English lessons, and it was on quite often after the top of the hour. Oh, interesting. Alatienne is the SWL France. Is it hard to learn new language when you get older? You must do it when you are young. Being young helps a lot, that's for sure. I mean, I learned my English. I started learning English. I was about 5 or 6 years old, which gives the English I have today, plus the fact that I continuously and almost, you know, my native language is French. You know, I did not know how to speak in English until about 6 or 7 years old, and even then was basic English. My native language is French. And so I've learned because I was playing with my little neighbors. They were Italian and they were all speaking English. And I've learned like that. I've learned without really realizing I've learned, basically. It's really crazy because when you think about it, it's not like learning. It's just you want to communicate with your friends. It's different when it's learning to learn. And to give you an idea of how it's a little more difficult, I think, when it's older, I have a series of lessons in here that are called Coffee Break Spanish. And the reason they call it that is like it's a 10-minute thing. So it's like it's supposed to be learning Spanish on your coffee break, basically. And it's a lesson. There's like, I don't know, 200 or 300 different little podcasts of 10, 15 minutes. And I was quite serious at the Spanish learning there. And for a while I did it a lot. And you know what? The biggest problem when we're older is not just the learning, it's the remembering of what you have just learned. And it's a little more difficult at 40 or 50 years old than it is when you're 20 years old. I think it is more difficult a little bit when you get older. But still, if you're serious, you can learn a language at any age, I think. It's just you gotta focus on it and work all the time. Oh yeah, I remember Esperanto. There were even Esperanto lessons. Isn't Radio Vanucuba still in Esperanto? Don't they have that? Still remember that Esperanto. Esperanto, the language of the future, where everybody should have been speaking Esperanto. No luck at DRM. Every time I tried DRM, and I wasn't home. I got the mail of, oh, you should try this right now and decode this. It's so strong. With Radio Kuwait on 13650. And what happened is I wasn't home. I couldn't do it. I wasn't home. I saw the email come through on my phone. I was like, man, I'm not home. I cannot try it. I've not been able to decode successfully a DRM. I always get the same results. Most of the time in Dream, I will see the info. It's going to show me, it's going to tell me, well, this is Radio Romania, this is Radio Kuwait. It gives me the basic details, but when it comes to the audio portion, it can't. My signal to noise ratio is too high. And so, yep. And as Fastload says, there's a store called the Paradise of Beer, if you want, the Paradis de la Bière. And I've never went there. I should go there. There must be a lot of stuff there, and it ain't that far from me. I really need to try that out. I've never gone there. Did you go in, Fastload, just to see what they had? Did you really have like tons of beer? I'd like to see that. But I think as we get older, it's a little more difficult. Hey, David in Barcelona survived the week. Hope things are not too bad over there in Spain. Arnie Turner says 8:30 a.m. Saturday in VK3 land. Oh man. Oh really? 6880 rebroadcasting me. Hey, you're listening to a pirate station, 6880, and this is the Shortwave show from YouTube live. That is rebroadcast, and I hope you guys are enjoying the show via Shortwave, via this pirate station. And whoever is the mysterious pirate radio guy, well, thank you for rebroadcasting my audio. This is kind of fun. I like it. I like it when a pirate station starts rebroadcasting my audio. I was thinking about something, by the way. Do you think a guy that's on YouTube that's been rebroadcast by a pirate can be in trouble because of that? I've always wondered. I don't think so, but I don't know. It's not me that's doing it. I'm not doing anything illegal. So really nice. 6880 is rebroadcasting me right now. So I see it very weakly on the waterfall here, 6880. Very thin line. So I'm getting a basic signal in the noise, but unfortunately I'm unable to listen to the audio. Sorry, I almost burped here. So this is kind of cool, and reminds me of that famous pirate time. My famous pirate time when I did the pirate show, and I actually was on like two or three different pirate stations at the same time. It was kind of cool. Matt Anderson, nice to have you here. And what I just pointed at. So, oh, you mean here? These are sliders. These are sliders that make me zoom in or out of different the different things here. The waterfall, the spectrum, everything. And here are the modes. Here, this is AM, FM, LSB, USB, CW, DRM, or selectable sideband mode. And these are the sliders that let me zoom in or out of the different, and also increase or lower the contrast of the display. So you see here it's like blue. I can play with the settings here and start making it much more visible with like yellow or orange, or I like it to be rather pale blue. I think we see better when there are signals there. And I think I'm hearing myself very, very weakly right now, but I think I'm hearing myself. Yeah, I'm hearing myself. It's in the noise, but I'm hearing myself on 6880 right now. And it's just funny. So welcome, thanks to the pirate. I always consider pirate guys my friends. You know, I think they're great guys, and of course they're fantastic guys when they rebroadcast my show, but they're always just plain great guys, and I always love listening to pirate stations. But it's just funny because the volume was just strong enough that I could hear my own voice, and I was like, oh man, I'm hearing myself now. So a pirate on 6880 kilohertz for anyone who wants to tune in and listen to me on shortwave instead of listening to me on YouTube. And it's really, really nice. Hearing the echo, Jill, is everywhere. Really nice to have that, for sure. Yeah, there's no age for anything, but it does have little... Oh, interaction, absolutely. That's one thing I didn't mention, but like, you know, that's pretty much what happened to me when I was young. Interaction with people. Interaction with people makes you learn languages a lot better. So, you know, but I think that they're a little faster. Oh yeah, I'm way behind in the chat, I can tell you guys. I'm going to try to go faster here because I know I'm very, very far. I'm babbling too much, so I keep the chat at a certain level all the time. It's nice to have all of you here. What else do we have? What else do we have? Let's try to go a little faster and try not to miss anything also. But it is easier when you have somebody to talk with, absolutely. So, is it possible the buzzer is on 4625 now? Well, it's 24 hours a day. So depending on where you're located, yes, it's possible, absolutely. Absolutely. So, basically. And, well, I have the all setup done, Richard, for it to work. I've got the... all the files set up. It's really my signal to noise ratio that doesn't work. Casper Peterson, good evening. Welcome aboard. Nice to have you on board. Oh, really? Tons of beer. Wow, I need to go check that out. Maybe we'll have some unusual beers all the time. I really need to go check that out. So, I'm trying to go a little faster, guys, because I know I'm really, really far back in the chat. Sorry if I miss out on something. Just repeat it. If I didn't see your questions, by the way. Sean Fitzgerald, nice to have you here. And says, listening on the way home from a long business trip just outside Syracuse, New York. Enjoying the show. Thank you very much. Always nice to be here. I can tell you that. Always nice. Always nice. And what else do we have? The moment Google hears music from your stream, they will kick in, I'm afraid. No, actually what happens is when I have music on my stream, they'll let it go through the stream. What's going to happen is they will after that. Either flag the video on the channel or something like that. Oh yeah, I forgot to answer the question, and PLF Radio is asking it, and I think somebody else asked that question. Is there a show tomorrow? Nope. Tomorrow's my Saturday off. So the next shows, by the way, for the radio side, the next shows, okay, check that out. We will be back, of course, next Friday, October 20th at 2000 hours Universal Time, and Saturday, October 21st at 2000 hours Universal Time. So next week's two shows, Friday and Saturday. Then we will have Friday, October 27th with a show, and special Halloween pirate chase on Halloween night, October the 31st, Tuesday, October the 31st. It's going to start later than usual, around 2100 UT, something like that, and we will be chasing pirates and checking out what Halloween has to offer. And as we're getting closer to Halloween, I can tell you that there's going to be an increase in pirate activity, I'm pretty sure. So like Mr. on 6880 kilohertz right now, and any other pirates will of course increase their output as we go into Halloween. So what else do we have? SWL France, au revoir et bonne nuit. Bonne nuit. Always nice to have people from France. Really, really nice. Yeah, I would need to have my pirate flag here. I was thinking the other day that when I do the show here, I should put the pirate flag here. I should actually have some system where I can actually clip the pirate flag behind the TV when I do the show from here. I think that would be really nice. So, Gilles, the shortwave broadcaster. Yeah, kind of cool. That's kind of cool. And of course, this is the Shortwave Show. We are here every Fridays. When's my next satellite show? I don't know yet. I'm trying to see how I could do it with a little more of tuning around on the on the satellites, because one of the things that was the problem last time is there weren't enough satellites going over my head to tune around. And I was hoping that we could do one where there's much more signals to decode or tune around or listen to. So I'm going to try to do one, but it might have to be at a different time frame so that we can actually do some satellite listening, especially the ones that have voice. I really, really, really love it when we actually hear voice communications through some of the ham satellites. So we're going to be doing that, and I'm going to be checking it out for sure. KC Red Dragon, nice to have you on board. Jeffrey Kropp, nice to have you on board from New Hampshire. Hope you're going well, my friend. You know, I think it's I think it's something that's not going to be, you know, in the next few weeks we're going to try to have one. Bye PLF Radio, nice to have you on board also from France. Always nice to be here. Daniel05 says there might be a lot of stations rebroadcasting your show on Halloween night. Who knows? And of course, I'll be disguised as something. So if you guys want to see me disguised as I don't know what yet, I'll be on the Halloween night. So I think it's going to be interesting. And what else do we have? Ben Fulford, nice to have you on board. Everybody doing okay? Hopefully we are at the Shortwave Show. The time flies. I mean, an hour 50 minutes. I just blabber along and it's like, well, we were talking about that yesterday actually in the show, the Insider Hour. I mean, somebody was mentioning to me that you know, there could be co-hosts and everything on the live show, and absolutely I'd like that, but the problem is you gotta have, you know, you gotta be a blabbermouth. You gotta talk all the time. I can't stand here and just stay for 10 minutes without saying anything. I mean, guys, people are watching, and you gotta be active. You gotta be there. You gotta do things. You gotta show something. You gotta move. You gotta, you know, it's part of what you got to do. So the thing is, you need that capability of being able to talk all the time, and that is something. Ernie Turner says, one is the DX aka Paul show. Yeah, it needs to be on. I was thinking of a funny thing maybe to do with Paul the Cat on the channel, and it's to kind of try to interact and with him, as I don't know, we're listening to a shortwave station, say on the portable radio, and he's like there and you know, moving around the radio or doing something, I don't know what, just like, you know, or just okay, sleeping next to me and there's a radio and something. Is like, well, let's try to put Paul in the frames all the time. Maybe it's going to increase the viewership. Who knows? It's just crazy. Just crazy. Shortwave guest, hi in the chat room, the IRC chat room. Sorry if I'm not very active in the IRC chat room. I need to get another power supply for a Toshiba laptop, because what's happening is after the unfortunate hard drive event, I now have a power supply event. I need to get myself a compatible Toshiba power supply for my other Toshiba, because it stopped working for sure. And it's nice to have you here. So to the man on camera, hello from England. Well, Ben Fulford, nice to have you here. Hello there, my name is Gilles, and I am located in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. Really is a lot of fun to be here and do these live show. So sometimes happen the buffering on some parts. Sometimes you need to refresh. And nice to meet you, and thank you very much for the nice comments. Casey Red Dragon wants to see you start doing transmitting as well, like SSTV. Yeah, we need to do slow scan television. I'd like to have one, but every time we do a live show, there ain't any slow scan TV, and I would like to have slow scan TV being sent. What we could set up is, if one of our many amateur radio friends out there is set up to send an SSTV picture, we could try to decode a picture or something, if you want to, so this is going to be interesting. I think that could be very, very fun. Casey Red Dragon is asking for slow scan TV every week, and I'm so sad, because it's like I don't have anything. Every time we try the 14230 or any of the frequencies, there's nothing there in slow scan TV, and I'm like, oh man, I wish there would be a really good signal in slow scan and we could actually decode it for sure. Steve B says, lucky you have throat lube like alcohol. Yes, this absolutely. I have to drink something. If it's not alcohol, I have to drink water, because I can't talk as much as I talk now without having something to drink. Skype show is coming very, very soon. I was actually thinking, because I always have the same problem here. My schedule is extremely tight, and I have to say, when I have time to myself, I try to keep it to myself as much as I can, because I have the feeling of doing a lot of things like these shows and not having a life, which is okay, because that's how I decided to do my own stuff. But the Skype stuff, I want to create the handles and the Skype names. So what I will do this weekend is my weekend where I don't have show tomorrow. I'm going to work on the Skype stuff. I'll be creating a radio Skype username, and you guys can add me, or I'll add you to that. If you wish to eventually show up here, and we'll have some interaction, interviews, ask maybe where when you started listening to Shortwave. Also, we'll be able to see your face, know a little bit more who you are. I think it could be very cool. So that's that's coming very, very soon. I'm going to try to do the radio one this weekend. I'm going to try to do one for the computer live tech shows that I do also, because I want to do the same thing on the live shows for that I do on the tech side. And I think that will add another dimension and something interesting to the shows. Not only being, you know, me talking all the time, but having people show up here that could add their voice to this. So I'll be giving the details very, 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 very soon. I can tell you that, okay? I promise. I promise. David says, finally received Pyongyang Pansong 6400 yesterday. Wow, that is cool. That's good DX. That's really good DX. Been after it for months after a Chinese ham I follow on Twitter showed me it boomed at his QQH in Beijing. Cool. Cool. That's really nice. What else do we have here? Yeah, sometimes you got to restart or refresh. So yes, Dave Todd, that's what everybody's been telling me, live on 6880 kilohertz, the shortwave pirate. And if only I knew what name the station is, I would be happy to verbally say, hey, you're listening to whatever shortwave pirate. Right now you're listening to a guy in Montreal, Quebec, Canada on YouTube Live talking about radio on a pirate station. How can it be cooler than that? I don't think there's anything cooler than that. Being rebroadcast on a pirate station, it's like a dream come true. You know, you're on the air. So once again, thank you very much for that opportunity of being on the shortwave radio bands. And really, really nice. And I've been actually forcing myself to not have too many times where I don't talk, because I don't want to have dead air time on the frequency. Dan 805 says trying to communicate on the show is quite hard on CB because there's always something with a huge amp. Yeah, well, on amateur radio, I think somebody could do something for sure. Casey Red Dragon says, but I mean, I would like you see transmit on the. Yeah, well, I need to get my amateur radio band, my amateur radio call sign. I'm not a ham radio operator, so I can't for now, but Skype I think is going to be very, very fun and add another dimension for sure. Josie Wells, you don't want to see my face, I'm ugly. You know what? It can be worse than this, okay? What is that? Yep, many people have me on the 6880 kilohertz. And hey, I've won a chance to see a free movie apparently. Okay, sorry about that. So I'm gonna do the Skype handle this weekend. I'll post the video on the channel, and what's gonna happen is, of course, you need to be approved. I'm not gonna, accept a last-minute person that wants to be on, except if we really know who you are, because of the possibility of having idiots on. So there's going to be a pre-approved moment where you're going to be on, and I think it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun to see the different people there, who you are, and learning more. It's fun to have a chat room and have all of you. Some is interesting because a lot of you have little icons that show, basically are just there to whoever you are. They're kind of like an emoticon or something, but some of you have your own face or your own picture, and I kind of find that fun though when somebody has its own picture there, because I have the possibility to see a little more who you are, what you look like. And I like that because obviously I have no idea what you look like through just a chat, and it's fun to see what people look like and who you are. And I think it's going to be fun because there's going to be I was thinking of doing a kind of part of a show in which there will be interview of one shortwave listener and when it started and everything, and we'll learn a little more about, you know, everybody's life, which is kind of cool. And it's like a big community here. I mean, we're here to talk about radio, and we're here to have fun with radio also. And I think that's going to be a cool thing. Absolutely, you know. I mean, it's just, I just love doing these shows, and I love the fact that we can, you know, learn more about everybody that has been participating in my shows. Some of you for, you know, there's a lot of you that are there since the first beginning, the first show I've ever done, and are still following me now. It's like, you know, I sometimes wonder, you know, it's I believe anybody questions himself about everything all the time. And I gotta say, one of the things that sometimes comes to my mind is, how come people follow what I say? I just blabber about radio or blabber about tech all the time. And I'm like, aren't people just tired of hearing me talk at some point? And I see you guys being there for, you know, ages, for months, some of you years. And I'm like, wow, there's, you know, it's interesting to see that there's a following, and people seem to find that it's interesting what I have to say and what I have to add and what I do. And it's kind of cool. I gotta say, it's really kind of cool. So really nice, really nice. Yeah, I don't know how many people, you know, I have the possibility here to actually do up to, with the computers I got, I would actually have the possibility to have at least 4 people on Skype at the same time, for sure. So oh, absolutely, Evolts. Don't worry. I know that when you want to interview people, you gotta have but you know, I already have something that gave me a basic understanding of interviewing. You know what? I was totally unprepared, and not, you know, I had jotted down notes and everything. When I went to the CIDX barbecue event, it gave me a interesting perspective on interviewing people on a live YouTube show. I've never done that. I've never had interviewed people live. And I wasn't totally prepared for that, because I wasn't totally prepared to the fact that how exactly would an interview go, plus the fact that we had people there. I'm thinking of Amanda Dawn Christie, that made the documentary on the Sackville antenna towers, that I didn't know would be there. So you can't, you know, there's like, you're not prepared in advance. And a lot of what I did in that moment was spontaneous. Me asking questions, like, I'm curious and I'm asking questions about why you do this and how you do that. And, you know, and I actually found myself to be really good at interviewing. And so with a little more preparation, make sure I have some questions and stuff, I think it'd be really cool. And I actually got tons of comments and emails after the CIDX barbecue show of people saying, wow, I am amazed at how good you were at interviewing people. Now, I looked back at the video at least a dozen times. I find myself being a little crappy at the question thing, because afterwards, when I looked at, there were tons of other questions coming through that would have been interesting to ask, that weren't there. But I think for something that I was not totally prepared to do, something that was totally new, and I never had interviewed anybody in a video before, I think I did it well. But of course, you know, I always criticize myself. I look at my own stuff all the time, and I always criticize myself. I'm like, well, that was no good. You know, sometimes people say, oh, what's that channel that you were talking about? And don't go there. It's crappy. I find it crappy. And people would say, well, it's not crappy. It's not. It's interesting. It's like, well, I find it crappy. You know, and I think we self-criticize, which is totally normal and makes things much better. You know, much better. I think it's very, very. It's something you got to do. You know, so you gotta, you know, prepare yourself and try to do the best you can. Politico, hello there. Well, if you want to transmit on 14.2.0.230 on SSTV, and hopefully I can hear you, there's something right now, I think. Yeah. I think there's something. That's SSTV here. Here we go. And so let's leave it there. If anybody wants to transmit on 14.230, some slow scan TV. It's automatic mode. It's in receive. Just send something. We're gonna see. We're gonna see. HM01 on 10715 right now, says Richard. So thank you, Richard, saying that CIDX show was great, did good, and it was a lot of fun. I had so much fun at the CIDX barbecue doing this interview, and also, you know, I was not totally feeling when I went to the CIDX barbecue. Obviously, what I see there is a lot of guys that they've been meeting up for years, so they are kind of a little gang that are, you know, they fit in well together because they're used to seeing each other regularly from time to time for some reason. I was kind of, you know, I've been to a CIDX dinner a really long time ago when I was very young. But for me, it's except Sheldon that I've met maybe 3 or 4 times, 3, 4, 5 times in over the years. It's you know, I was the newbie coming into the place where I was like not really, you know, there was always that moment where you're gonna meet people that, you know, you haven't seen before. Plus you got to do a live show, all of that. Was a lot of stress in the morning, but after, when I look at the show, the recorded show, the event itself also was really fun. I gotta say, it was extremely amazing to do. So, well, I think it could be interesting, Vault. I think having, you know, regular folks could be really nice. So, so I heard a little something very weak in the background, 14.230, but unfortunately, no signals is propagating to here on slow scan TV 14.230 right now. So test count on 11.175. Let's check it out. Anything there? About 8.992, which is I think the other frequency. I haven't heard emergency action messages, but I think anyways, even, you know, regular folks, if it's well directed, I think could be very interesting. Could be interesting to, you know, have people go through for sure. G. Bryden says nothing on 14.230 on Toronto either. So Ben Fulford says here's talks there. Hey, James Megawatt, nice to have you here. Pretty cool to have you here. So really nice to have everybody on board. So okay, so you're watching the Shortwave radio show. We've been on for 2 hours and 8 minutes now, and we are, of course, talking about radio. And Sheldon Harvey says the barbecue show was great, mainly because everyone was very natural, and you fit in with the group very easily. Having a common interest makes it easier as well. Oh, absolutely. I did feel the, you know, when you go to an event where you know no one, one of the things that sometimes happens is you feel, if there's no common interest, you feel kind of a little outside the box. But in the CIDX barbecue, I obviously didn't feel outside the box. I could fit in immediately because we have a common language, radio, that already makes a very basic and easy conversation with anyone. And And you know, I'm the kind of guy today that's extremely open and very, you know, I'm very social. So even in an environment, I think now without the radio, I think I'm easy to fit in a lot of situations. And so, but of course the radio aspect, the fact that we're all, you know, in the same common language of radio helped a lot. But I felt I didn't just the CX barbecue. What I really liked is not only did I like the environment and the people there, but I also felt that the people were happy to have me with all of you. Hey, Blue Eyes. That was Blue Eyes.
Echo 6 Papa 3 Juliet Delta standby. Echo 6 Papa 3 Juliet Delta standby.
So this is the U.S. Army.
Echo 6 Papa 3 Juliet Delta standby. Message follows.
Message follows, and it's by Blue Eyes. The guy's sending his Blue Eyes.
Echo 6 3 Juliet Delta Whiskey Uniform.
So what I was anyways saying, Sheldon, is that you guys and everybody there made me feel welcome also from the start. It felt natural, and I felt welcome immediately, and that, you know, is also because there were great people there, and people were cool, and very natural, and it was very a lot of fun. You know, I think that's going to be a yearly event easily if you want to do it, Sheldon. Absolutely no problem, for sure. Brian, Iowa, nice to have you here. Yeah, 20-meter band isn't that great, I gotta say. It was even this afternoon before the show started, there was not a lot of things there. So, you know. Vault says, just picture myself and imagine how horribly bad it would go. You'll be the first one on Skype, Vaults. So now, Vaults, what do you have to say negative today? No, but you know, yeah, I'm sure it would go really well. There's no problem there. Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. I'll be there. Mickey Delmish says, looking for next year's barbecue. Forward to next year's barbecue. I'll be there. For sure. Revolutionary Brewer. Hey, nice to have you on board. I gotta tell you one thing. I really don't need a lot of beers to really mess up that name. I can tell you that. From Nova Scotia. So that cheap window loop antenna never worked very well. The DE31. Oh no, forget about that. I can tell you that. It's one of the crappy stuff that doesn't do anything. But you know what I'll say about it, and I have to say, and be honest, I understand, because some of you have it. Some of you were telling me, well, it works fine for me. And I totally understand why it does. Because, I mean, as a basic antenna, it does work at improving a signal, but it's like adding just a wire antenna. So everybody that plugged it in and said, oh, it works, it's so much better. Actually, it's mostly because, yeah, it adds a length of wire. So it does improve reception. So my take on it, and I'll state that it's my take on it, because I know I got a few people that are a little sensitive on that, and were telling me, well, no, it does work, yours must be broken. But I'm not the only one with that same conclusion. I mean, I've seen a lot of posts of people with the same conclusion that I am. And my observation, personal observation, and it's mine and entirely mine, and if you like yours, that's all that counts. You know, I never, when I talk about something, I say it's crappy. If you like it, I said it's crappy. I didn't say you should not have it. It didn't say you shouldn't use it. It's just that I personally find it crappy. That's it. That's my opinion and my only opinion. And I want to be honest in my opinions when I talk about something. But I understand why some people might say, no, it works. Because it kind of, yes, does really do something. You know? No, you can't decode the U.S. Army stuff. We don't know really now. So that would be fun, Richard Tribble. Next year to the barbecue could be really, really fun, and you could be live on the show from the CIDX barbecue, of course. Man, what else do we have? Yeah, Blue Eyes. I like the guy. This is Blue Eyes. Blue Eyes. Big Bench Enton says 11175 clear into Florida. They're still transmitting some stuff. There's a lot of messages. Maybe that North Korean war is coming. What else? Nothing heard on 11175. You don't hear it, Richard? Surprised, because it's pretty strong, and you usually hear things better than me. Kind of interesting. MDK2 says 8992 is better, but can you hear it? Let's try 8992. Yeah. $13,200. Oh, this one's good. 15016. Even 15016. But 13200 is better. 13200 is the best one here. This is the U.S. Army, and these are what's called EAMs, or Emergency Action Messages. What else do we have? Tom Perks says, I found your shows on YouTube about 6 or 7 months ago and have been watching you ever since. None of my friends are into radio like I am, so it is really cool to hang out with everyone else. You know, that is one of the main reasons this exists. Because, like I always say, radio listening is a solitary hobby. And one of the things that happens with that is if you can find a common place where everybody is, a live show like this, where everybody talks about radio, where there's a great chat room of tons of cool people. This is kind of distorted. And has kind of an echo. So, you know, it's really fun. It's really fun to have some place like this where everybody can meet and talk about radio, and we talk about radio and tune together. You know, it's kind of cool. I would have loved, when I was 15 years old and listening to Shortwave, I would have loved to have a place like this where, oh, we're going to tune some signals like that. Oh, I hear it where I am. Oh, this is so cool. And that guy here is hearing it in the UK. And that guy in Western Canada. And that guy in Florida. And that guy in Australia. And it's just a lot of fun. I would have loved to have that when I was 15. When I was 15, there was nothing. You know, I learned radio clubs. Maybe I was 16, 17. The first time I heard of radio clubs. And but still, you know, there was no internet and nothing that you have a common ground that you can be live like this. And this is fantastic because we're using the technology that's available today to bring everybody together live as things are happening and listening to different signals. It's really, really cool. Revolutionary Brewer says, I have a wire that helps the signal but cranks up the noise. Yes, it does. I was hoping it would help block out some of the noise, but it doesn't seem it does. No, it doesn't. It doesn't. It doesn't really work well in that aspect, basically. And it's great to have everybody here. It's really fun for that, I gotta say. Blue Eyes, isn't that a what's that song? Isn't that a song from what's it called? Man, forgot his name. The guy that has those sad songs. I hate it when I forget an artist's name. Got his face in my head, but oh god. Anyways, Steve P says that in Australia he's getting, and if I can find it because I just lost it. So Steve P's got 11175 and 8992 in Australia. I guess they're broadcast. These are relays that are at different places around the world, I would say. So they're probably broadcast from different places all the time. So kind of interesting. David says heard EM on 11175 Upper Sideman in Barcelona. So kind of interesting. So this is the U.S. Air Force. Yeah. Well, it's the Army, but it's the U.S. Air Force. Exactly, for the EM. Absolutely. It's the Air Force branch of the Army, basically. So, as I tell all people, as long as the messages in Wing Attack Plan are... You know, you hear something and then you hear like, the package has been delivered, and you're like, what does that mean now? Is a nuclear bomb about to blow somewhere? The package has been delivered. Okay. Kind of interesting. Like it had encryption over it. No, it's kind of distortion. There's kind of a distortion over it. So, Richard Cook says City 6740, bit better somewhere. Lou Rubens, nice to have you on board from Florida. Really nice. You see Red Dragons on 13740, which I believe is Radio Havana, Cuba. So, really, really nice. You know, Josie Wells, I live in smack in the middle of Montreal, and I can tell you, I'm in a big city. I'm a big city boy that has to deal with the noise around him to listen to shortwave. And I got to tell you one thing. It is really something. Really crazy. I can tell you that. And I got to do the best that I can with that. So, you know, I think I'm doing what I can to listen to whatever signal. For sure. What else do we have here? Yeah, there's, I believe it's always there, 13870, the radio teletype. It's an encrypted one, I think. Let's go 13870. Yeah. Here. This is a radio teletype signal. That one is encrypted, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, here the echo. 8992. I think it's because it's rebroadcast from several places. Yeah, there was Sinatra, Dan Heavens, but there was also man. Harvey? Did you say it was Harvey? There's a lot of messages tonight. I rarely hear a lot of activity like that. Something's happening. I tell you guys, if something's happening this weekend, we'll all be able to say, oh, you know what? We heard that happen live by the U.S. Air Force on their emergency action messages. So, take care, G. Bryden. Was always nice to have you on board as usual. Thank you for being here. Yeah, Elton John's Baby's Got Blue Eyes. Absolutely, Elton John. Thank you very much. That's the one I was thinking, Steve P. Baby's Got Blue Eyes. Elton John. So really nice. Take care, Ernie Turner. VK3DET from Australia. It was nice to have you on board. Really, really nice. Tom Perks says, when I was very young, I heard truck drivers talking on my toy walkie-talkie, and I've been hooked ever since. All spectrum of radio. It is, absolutely. And this is the global high-frequency system. Yep, absolutely. Vaults. It's their global high-frequency system on these different frequencies, and that's rebroadcast over many, many different places. Well, thank you very much, Ralph Bender. Take care. Yep, Elton John. Maybe he's got blue eyes. That's the one I was thinking. World War III is starting right now with this EAM. Let's hope not. That would not be a cool thing. Oh my God, really, really nice to have all of you on board, and it's a really, really cool show. Cool show. You know what? It's a funny thing because I'm going to tell you guys. When I started the show today, I'm a little sick because I went to a friend's house a couple of days ago. The guy had a major cold, and I think I got it because today I was feeling kind of under the weather, a little sore throat, and I'm like, yeah. So an hour and a half before the show was like, I was kind of in the mode of, oh man, I don't have really a lot of things prepared for today. And propagation is going to be crappy because of that K index and the geomagnetic storming and everything. And I was like, okay, we're going to have to, you know, fill the show with stuff and think about what to talk about. And it's cool because, you know, with your help, of course, there's a lot of help in the chat room and helping me and giving me some directions to go. But there's a lot of things, you know, even with propagation, that's not that great. Look, we've been listening to different little things. We have the pirate station that rebroadcast me. And we're just having a lot of fun. And we stumbled upon, you know, I didn't think just the weather facts chart decoding would actually start a conversation about how to decode different, you know, digital signals. So I kind of find it cool because we're at 2 hours and a half. And I was thinking, man, I you know, almost scared I'm going to have nothing to say after an hour. And you see, it ain't the case. It's cool for that. And actually, the ones, almost every time I do a show that I'm not that, you know, I don't feel it, it's almost every time some of the best shows I've ever done and seen. So, you know, it tells you that it's kind of cool, you know. So, man, have you guys heard so many messages in a row like this with the U.S. Air Force? I don't know, but there's like a lot of things going on tonight. I'm wondering what's happening here. What else do we have? Yeah, TV that went up to channel 83. Could listen to the cell phones. When I remember that. I had a black and white TV at home, and when I was about 15, and my fun was to DX stations. My mom thought I was, you know, mad because I was playing around with the antennas, and she was always telling me, well, you're listening to the same news that I have on cable. And I was always telling her, well, yeah, but this is channel 13 from Trois-Rivières, which was like more than 100 kilometers away. And it's cool. I'm receiving a TV station 100 kilometers away on the TV. And so when the cell phones on the 800 megahertz spectrum, they actually they kind of revised the channel and the frequencies. So the first TVs were from channel 2 to channel 83. On the UHF scale was, you know, the last one was 83. But then at some point they actually took some of that spectrum to put the cell phones that were in the 800 megahertz at the time, the analog cell phones. And so channel 69 was the last channel on most TVs after that. But if you had an old TV between 69 and 83, you could like really tune in slowly, and you could hear, and I remember hearing cell conversations on the TV. It wasn't that good because the TV had kind of a really wide frequency listening thing, but you could kind of make out some of the conversations on analog cell phones back then. It's kind of funny. So man, this is just crazy. It's crazy. Yeah, Jerry, you're right. I've never heard so many things. Look at that, it's going on. While you guys are listening to the end of the world, I'm going to go get myself another beer. And don't forget to donate if you like the shows. It's so funny because it's like I usually hear emergency action messages, but usually there's one and then you got like, you know, half an hour with no activity and nothing, and then you get another one, or an hour later you got another one. But now this is like, it's continuous tonight. Totally crazy. I don't know where they're up to, but could it have something to do with the Trump saying that he doesn't want to, he doesn't accept like the terms or something of the nuclear deal with Iran? Are they preparing themselves for something? It's weird. There's so many things tonight on a Friday night. Really crazy. So what else do we have here? What else do we have here? Yeah, that's like tons of messages, and you know, it's really, really interesting. David says, worked in Navy London back in 80s when Beirut bombing happened. There were EAMs galore. I'm sure. I didn't know about them. I didn't hear any. You know, I think in the 80s when I was listening to Shortwave, I think it didn't even come to my mind that we could hear the U.S. Army on shortwave. You know, we have these preconceived notions. I remember the first time somebody, I had a multiband radio. I was maybe 11 or 12 years old. And I remember somebody telling me, well, that's impossible. You can't hear aircraft or airplanes in the sky on the radio like this. You need a special radio. And as he was telling me this, I was on the airport frequency, and he heard, oh, Air Canada 426. And he said, yeah, man, this is Air Canada airplane. Yeah, and look, it's the one right there going through. And we, over the years, it comes back regularly. People saying, well, I don't think you can listen to that. Or also the preconceived things. I remember when I was a big scanner fan in the early 90s. I had my portable scanner on my belt all the time. I really looked weird. I was that weird guy with that scanner all the time that everybody thought was a walkie-talkie anyway. And I remember going to the grocery store, and the cashier says, is that a scanner to listen to the police? Yep. Well, that's illegal. No, it's not. Oh, yeah, it is. No, it's not. And it's like people have preconceived ideas of things that are often false. One of them for me was, well, it's impossible. I don't think we can hear the Army. They must be on these super secret frequencies. Okay, no, they're not on super secret frequencies. They're right smack in the middle of shortwave bands. They have super secret messages, but they are smack in the middle of the shortwave bands. And anybody that listens to that, actually those call names, you know, like Blue Eyes and all of that, you can actually, if you are a big fan, know pretty much really a lot of detail of who they are and where, you know, which Air Force base and what type of, you know, of communication or what type of work they do. It's very surprising. And it's something that, you know, at the beginning you're like, yeah, well, you know, I don't think, well, you know, they do that. And it's funny because when you are, when you start listening, you don't think about these things. It's things that you don't really think about. So, you know, we all know it's Friday the 13th. Yeah, maybe there's something happening. Maybe something happening because of that. Jerry says, World War III declared on the official Shortwave channel show with a beer. That would be something. And actually, I would feel really bad because I'd like, really? Okay, that's not what we want. Linda Kainzer, nice to have you here. Well, there's all sorts of things in there. Coordinates, who knows? Who knows? So much stuff in there. Tom Perks says, my mom thought I was crazy and CB radios and cheap walkie-talkies. I live in Mississauga on the 23rd floor of a building facing Lake Ontario. And an antenna in my window. Man, the signals. Oh man, 23rd floor of a building and facing Lake Ontario. Man, you cross the Lake Ontario easily with that CB. I can tell you that. Oh man. You know, I was lucky because my interest in radio started. Two things major started my interest in radio, but really big. The first ever multi-band radio that my dad got at a store called Consumer Distributing, which was a horrible store that never had anything. I remember when we went to get the multi-band radio, I was actually sure they didn't have it in stock because they never had anything there. And I was shocked when they actually brought the box with it in it. And my dad was the kind of guy that was curious about these things, but didn't understand a lot about it. And was kind of curious to a point where he would use it for a couple of days. And then he'd be bored. I was much more persistent. I was the guy that was curious, but that wanted to see what that box could bring. I wanted to hear stuff on it. And I was the one reading the manual from A to Z. It's like, okay, really, we can hear that with this. Well, I want to make sure I can hear that with this. And so that was the first entry. It's the first time I heard a shortwave. There was two bands, I believe, on that radio, SW1, SW2, which I had no idea what SW meant. It's the first time ever I've heard BBC World Service. It was the first time. And I remember still, you know, this is the BBC in London. And I was like, London, Ontario, Canada? You know, innocent. It's like, I surely can't be listening to London and the UK. That's impossible. I must be listening to London, Ontario, Canada, maybe. You know? And I didn't know what the BBC was at 11 or 12, you know. I heard planes on that. I heard weird signals, Morse code stuff that would look mysterious. And then, of course, I heard the cops. I heard the police, Montreal police. Back then, they were on VHF, around 152 megahertz or something. That started one part of the passion. The second one was when I was able to transmit. And my brother had a walkie-talkie set in a drawer. And I was the curious guy that looked everywhere. So, you know, when you get bored and you're 11 years old, what do? You just look in the drawers. What's in the drawers? You know? And I opened my brother's drawer and I see this box. And it looks cool. So I of course don't touch it. It's not mine. But when he comes back, I'm like, oh, I was like kind of looking here, and there was that. And it says, oh, these are walkie-talkies. You want them? You can talk with your friends. And I was like, oh. So I took the box, and I still remember the smell. You know the electronic smell? And I remember opening the box, and that smell of the electronics and the plastic. And I still have in my nose. I just think about it, and it's still there. And I took out the pair of walkie-talkies. They were Fanon or something like that. Fanon, something that resembles that. They were 3-channel, and I remember they had a big red button for the push to talk. And of course they had only one channel that had crystals, which was channel 14. I remember going outside. I saw a friend of mine and said, hey man, come here, we're going to talk on the walkie-talkies. And these actually were better walkie-talkies than a lot of the crappy stuff at the time. Because I remember we could talk a pretty good distance on them. And it was the height of the solar cycle back then, so I was hearing all these, you know, I didn't know what they were, but these like sounding which basically were US CBers from the South with their really heavy accent. And it was like, wow, this is weird. So that plus the multiband radio, I think that is what I got hooked. I got totally hooked. And then got the shortwave radio, the DX100 and everything. I mean, wow, that was amazing. That was amazing. Tom Perks, I wish I was into shortwave back in the 80s. Really missed out. I have amazing memories of shortwave radios of the 80s that I will always have, you know, deep in my heart. I gotta say, the feel of the 80s was peculiar. You know, we're at the end, the last decade of really the Cold War. It was felt everywhere. It was felt on shortwave. So many stations to listen to. You know, the first time I've ever received a letter by mail from another country. All of that. Wow, just crazy, just amazingly crazy. Well, that's the best thing to do, Dave. Dave Todd says, call me crazy, but I switched your laptop to 24 hours UTC time. Why not? Most of my clocks are in UTC. On my radios are always UTC. You know, I'm a UTC guy. I listen to shortwave. Richard Tribble says he started listening. Yes, I'm getting back in the chat a little bit, guys. I'm sorry about that. What else do we have? So, what else do we have? Okay. Richard Tribble saying started the shortwave listening in 1957. Wow. MarsNet apparently here. I hear it regularly, that one. 13927. We'll see if we hear anyone here. Cheers, everybody. Carnegie being called by alligator on 111775. Wow. So Ben Fuller says Army on MarsNet on 13927. Yeah, it's one that I hear quite often. 13927 and 4016, I believe, are two of the most active MarsNets that I hear regularly here, with really good signals. 26BT7000 says in some countries it is illegal to receive some signals, even though you can receive them on a simple radio. Yeah, there are some rules in different countries. It depends where you are. Absolutely, absolutely. But here there was not that. Here we were allowed to listen to whatever. You know. Oh man. Tom Perks is drinking Zywek. I don't know if you pronounce it like that. A Polish beer. I like my experience with the Ukrainian beer the other day at the Ukrainian festival. It was kind of fun. Kind of fun. David uploaded a short clip of what the emergency action message sound on is, and it is, and in Spain. MDK2 Moonlight Radio 6930 upper sideband got in Denver. Let's check it out. 6930. Anything here? Not really hearing anything. I do see that 6880 is still there. And I'm still hearing myself, I believe, on 6880. I'm still hearing myself on 6880. Kind of cool. Kind of cool. Really nice. So there's 6930. There's another one, but I'm not receiving it here at all. So Revolutionary Brewer says, "Oh my God, I remember consumers." Yeah, and they never had anything. I remember at least one out of, I would say 1 out of 2 times you went there for something. It wasn't under. It would, they didn't have it, and it was like, no, we don't have it. I remember you being like really down so much, going to. You know, I remember going to buy some games, and I was like, oh man, that game looks cool. And I would go there, and you know, I have like, you know, okay, it's $15, and oh, we don't have it. Oh man, I wanted to have it. It's so sad. I can tell you that. So yeah, I gotta tell you. Oh, sorry. Am I really that off camera? Oh, yes, I am totally off camera. I think I just slammed the camera somehow. Oh, I know why. My table here. I moved the table. Sorry, guys. Here, I am now back in the light of the camera. I'm going to move up a little more. Sorry, guys. I notice I'm not watching myself because I don't have... Usually this laptop is separate. So I always see myself, so I know when I'm off. Now it's kind of not seeing myself. Thanks for letting me know, because I don't know what I'm doing, basically. So really, really amazing. Dave Todd says signal is fading. I have to switch back to YouTube for audio. Richard Tribble says, remember consumer distributor here in my city too. I bought a cuckoo clock. Still have it. Wow. They had kind of a lot of things there, but man, they just never had anything. Hey, Jay Watterson 69, nice to have you on board. And yes, Paul the Cat's sleeping right now. Dave Todd says, remember consumer distributing. You filled out a slip. Yeah, you would refill out the slip, put the little number of the catalog thing. You know what? For those that don't know what that was, it was a chain of Canadian stores, and it was like a being in a warehouse, basically. So the warehouse was in the back, and in the front, when you would arrive, so the customer would go through, and all you had was little tables with a catalog. So you would go into the catalog, and you would have, oh, I want to have this clock radio. So there was a little paper, a little pen. You would say, okay, you put your name on it, and you put the item's description, and underneath there was a catalog number. You'd put the catalog number. You would go and put that in a box, or I don't remember how you did it, or just give it to someone. And there was a counter, and behind it there was this hole, a large hole, where boxes would come out. And so either you had a box and you had your stuff, or you had a little lady, a little guy coming and saying, we don't have it, sorry. And it was like, okay, bummer. Crazy stuff. Crazy stuff. You know, that thing would have continued working if they just had the stuff that they were selling. If they had everything or almost everything, I think it would still be alive today. The major reason it didn't work is, man, they didn't have anything you wanted. It's crazy. Radio Romania strong on 7340. Can I hear it? Extremely weak stuff here. What is it now? Wow. Propagation tonight. Let's check it out. On the bands, 6070, can I hear CFRX? Not really. Anything else? Yeah, the bands are really, really not great tonight. WWCR.
And that's the good news is that people are...
Alex Jones, not job on 6115 with his conspiracy theorist things. Jill, what is best HF antenna for a Yaesu FT990? I live on a hill 700 feet above sea level. Anyone able to send the links? Well, for transceiver, I don't know. It's check out the cool David. Thanks for the info, by the way. You're really, really nice to send me all the info, so I'll be updating all of that tonight. I'll be doing a few videos after this show for the tech channel. You are great. Thank you very much, David. David Walker for the information of the tech stuff. He's my my little guy that just, you know, whispers in the ear, hey, this is fixed and that's new. Really nice. Actually, when I talk about things and about how I feel and how I started radio and everything, I think we are often pretty much the same and start in the same way. So CBC threw his brother's guitar amp. You know what I was hearing? I remember I had a faulty ground. You know, I have a Fender Stratocaster guitar here with a Marshall amp, a Volstate 8080, and I remember once the grounding was faulty on one of my cables between the guitar and the amp. And one time I'm doing nothing at all, and I kind of hear something. I hear talking, and I'm like, what? And I noticed that it's coming from the amp. And when I would play with the wire, when the grounding was good, it'd stop. And when I'd leave the cable alone, it'd start again, and I'd hear the talking again. It was a medium wave or an AM station coming through my wire into the amp. Butterbean, Fanon Courier, something like that. I don't know what was the model exactly of these walkie-talkies back then, but man. So, you know. So lots of stuff. Favorite beer was Corona, says Josie Wells. But don't drink since I got married. Aha. You are now more down to earth. Tyler Salisbury, nice to have you here. So, no, I did not hear about the MIT's less one being active again. Did not hear that. Nikki Dalmash says, my computers are UTC also give one an unfair advantage when it comes to Facebook birthday notices. Yeah. Yep, 4016 is one of the MarsNet. And the MarsNet KC Red Dragon, like you probably already have, it's a military affiliate radio system. And no, it's a military auxiliary radio system. Think of it as a amateur radio-like service for the U.S. military, where they communicate together through these nets. So it sounds a little bit like I'd say it sounds like an amateur radio net in the amateur bands, but it is military driven, so it's really a gang of U.S. Air Force military that are talking together there, and sometimes they have traffic that is, you know, that talks about that. But it's very, very interesting, and I like to stumble across some of these nets. They're really, really nice. There's a lot of stuff, I can tell you that. Very, very cool. They were shaped like, okay, think about, and I remember the shape. They were rounded, so think of a book, okay? You know, the rounded side of a book. They were black. One side was rounded. The other side was, imagine once again a book where the two covers meet, but except of seeing pages in the middle, It was a silver metal plate with a red push button for the talk, and there was there was 1 or 2 black switches. One was for the channels, because there were 3 channels in it. I remember seeing pictures of those at some point on Google when I was searching for these walkie-talkies at the time. So Sir Darkless says, "Why wake the cat up and tell him Radio Whiskers International is on the air." But man, that was something. So Butterbean, yep, I am on 6880, and still there. I was checking that out a few minutes ago, and I'm still there. Look at that! I'm hearing myself. I even heard my laugh now. This is kind of interesting. So it's coming in 6880 here in Montreal. You see about S7, S8, just barely above the noise level here. But I could make out that I really am here on 6880. And for those listening from everywhere, well, you are listening to the voice of a shortwave show on YouTube Live through a fantastic guy that probably is broadcasting me on 6880, a pirate station that I'd love to name if I knew what was the name of it. But it's on 6880. That's a pirate station, and these are just cool to listen to. And of course, rebroadcasting the audio of me in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. And no, the pirate station is not located there. It's located somewhere in the universe and broadcasting on shortwave where you can hear it. And so hope everybody's enjoying the show tonight. It's always fun to be there. It's fun to have that. You know, it's kind of cool. K-index 6. You know what? Look at one thing though. K-index is 6, and that's what I always want to say to everybody. Two Hands on the Radio says K-index is 6, sad face. But look at the amount of signals tonight we are still getting, and we've still been hearing. No, when you look at the 49 meter band, it's pretty dead with the regular broadcast. But you know, I'm hearing the pirate station on 6880. We've heard emergency action messages from the U.S. Air Force. I mean, there's always something to listen on shortwave all the time. 1128.5 USB says the airfield is secure. Okay. Politico, yeah, a dipole. You can make it yourself. Absolutely, a dipole is one idea. You can even make it yourself easily. Dave Todd says Alpha Delta DXCC for the antenna. So, you know, depends what you want. What's my SDR antenna? It's a 22 meter long sloper antenna located in my backyard, east-west direction. What's a sloper antenna? It's basically a long wire, but it's at an angle. So it starts on the east side on the bottom, close to the fence, on the east side of the backyard, and goes all the way up to the corner roof on the west side. 22 meter long exactly. And it's a nice, really nice little antenna, I can tell you that. 14035 should not have JT9 usually. 14035 should have some Morse code, basically. And there seems to be a lot of stuff. Is there a CW contest this weekend? Because these are... No, this is Morse code. This is a lot of Morse code together. Look at that. So there must be a contest this weekend for amateur radio in the Morse codes. So lots of CW. You know, it's sometimes it can be difficult because when there's a lot of CW or Morse code signals have such a small bandwidth that often they're very, very close together. So it's easy to sometimes hear like 5, 6, 7 different Morse code signals at the same spot and think that it might be a digital mode or something. But in reality, it's a you know, a bunch of Morse code signals altogether. Hi, Cholakov, Ivan. Bienvenue, welcome aboard. Always nice to have you on board. Richard says 7325 Romania. 7325. Let's check that out. Is there anything here? And 7430. These usually make it. And look at that tonight. Transatlantic, not making it really. President Putin got a new puppy for his birthday. Oh, that explains all the military action. Dave Todd says we have CFARs. Yes, absolutely. There's the Canadian Forces Auxiliary Radio System exists. I've heard I would say a cross net or a mixed net of CFARs and Mars a couple of months back. And it was really, really nice. Okay, Radio Verdad is back. You know what? I was wondering that, Yvonne, because on 4055, Radio Verdad is that station in Guatemala. And it's sad of my noise level because in the evening, I always can hear that it's there. I just can never make out what they're, what program they are broadcasting. And in the past few weeks, I had tried 4055 in the late evening and was not hearing anything. So I didn't know they were off the air. So thanks for letting me know about that. So 4055 Radio Verdad. Mickey Dalmage says, heads up for medium wave DXers in the west, 50 kilowatt Calgary station 770 CHQR off the air at midnight tonight for transmitter antenna adjustments. It's time to do some DXing, I can tell you that. Can I change the waterfall colors? Yes, I can change the colors to have them reflect different. I like it like this personally because I like the fact that it's very easy to see stations versus no station. But yes, you can play around with that for sure. You can change everything in here. It's very customizable. And I need to do more videos because a lot of people have been telling me that some of the videos I made with HDSDR, I've helped them a lot. A lot. Yeah, there must be a contest tonight. Let me just check. What is there a contest? October 14th, 2017. CW contest. Let's check it out here. There must be a contest this weekend. There's tons of contests in a weekend, but okay. September, October, early November. So, what is there in a contest this weekend? Let me check that out. So, October, there's the. Let me just check it out here. October 14. There's many things. So. There's a lot of stuff. There's the Oceania DX contest, California QSR party, Oceania CW contest, Scandinavian activities, SSB. But there's not like a big contest. But there must be something. It's the weekend. We gotta remember also that it's the weekend. So really cool. What else do we have here? 74, Brian, Iowa saying 7490. It's pretty strong. By the way, WBCQ has changed its frequency in the 3 megahertz range, 90 meter band. They were on 3250. They were asked to move that frequency because they were interfering with apparently some military utility stuff. So they are now on 3265, and tonight, by the way, if you want to listen in, it's a show a bit like my show, talking and talking and talking. There's, of course, Alan Wiener Worldwide on Friday evenings, starts at 0000 UT in an hour's time from now. I listen to it. I kind of find it an interesting radio listening of the Friday evening. I will be trying 3265, which is supposed to be on the air, but is usually on all the frequencies at once or almost. 7490, 5130, 3265 tonight. So it's kind of fun to Yeah, that's what I thought, Richard. I was maybe a little late for that. So, no. Richard says, just take no CW contest. You know, there's even worse than that is what I find, I have to say, what I find a little bit, I'd say, impolite is when there's contests in amateur radio. So if you got CW contests, they're all over the band, even intruding through the digital modes. If there's digital mode contests, radio teletype, they're everywhere, intruding into the voice modes. And if there's voice contest, it's crazy. I mean, I don't think anybody could do a contact on any of the regular amateur bands when there's a SSB contest. They're just jam-packed with tons of signals. And the only place you can talk is on the WARG bands, because these are bands that you're not allowed to have contests on. But man, this is crazy. I can tell you that. Ryan, CJ3, when it gets dark earlier, I'll make some calls on 40 meters. I have an IC7300, 600 watt amp, K3WDR. Yeah, absolutely. And we're really getting there. Counting station on 11015. I know what's on 11015. I don't hear nothing here, probably. Ah, no, I know what that is. If that's what you hear, USB. This, I believe, is some kind of Link 11 or some NATO link. It's a digital link for NATO. So, take care, Richard Dribble. It was nice to have you on board as usual. Yeah, no contest. There were some little local contests, but no real big contests this weekend. Just a lot of CW. What is that just below on 6025? Do I have something on 6025? Nothing really there, I believe. Checking it out. Nothing there. 6020 usually is China radio at 0-100, but really nothing special. And I'm still there on 6880. I'm hearing myself. This is cool and amazing. What else do we have? What else do we have? Chinese station for Richard Cook on 6025. So really, really nice. Last radio playing via WWCR 9350. Cool. Jamming on 6030. Yeah, it's jamming. Usually jams. Let's just check it out here. Not hearing anything here, but usually 6030. The jamming there is from Cuba, and it's usually to block Radio Marti, that is on 6030. So what else do we have? Cheeseburger, beer, and shortwave. Now I'm happy. Now that is nice. I'm having a chicken pot pie tonight. I have bought one. I didn't make it myself. I bought one. It's from a local restaurant. And I thought, you know what? After the show, I'm just going to drop that in the oven, 30 minutes, and I'll have chicken pot pie and continue tuning around the bands. I'll listen to the Alan Wiener Worldwide, probably from WBCQ a little later on. And I think this is pretty cool. Pretty cool. So, anybody wants to add something before we start winding down the show tonight? We are, of course, we have 3 hours and 8 minutes now, live from Montreal, Quebec, Canada, and also rebroadcast on 6880 kilohertz, one of the most fantastic pirate radio stations on earth. What else do we have? Cold Country Canada on 6969 lower sideband. Really? 6969 lower sideband. What did I hear here? Trying to listen to anything, but I don't really have any signals. The only signals I really see is that radio teletype here And 6880 is the closest thing with the pirate station. So, yeah, Media Network with Jonathan Marks. That was nice. That was really nice. Can tell you that. K6YYL. What's the weather today? We had a beautiful sunny day. It was about 60 Fahrenheit, around 15 Celsius. And this weekend we're supposed to have rain. Should go up to the 70s this weekend, which is warm for this time of year. But Monday morning, when I wake up and I have to go to work at Microsoft, it should be around 0 degrees Celsius, 32 Fahrenheit. We will probably have our first frost for this October, this fall. So, which is pretty much in sync with the average date of when we have our first frost in the morning. And of course we shouldn't be having any snow technically before November, but anything is possible here in Canada. Anything is possible. But today's beautiful. This weekend's crappy rainy weather. So I'll probably go to see Blade Runner 2049 tomorrow at the movie theater. You know, rainy weather is perfect for that. So I want to go see Blade Runner 2049. And for the rest of the weekend, I don't know. We're just gonna take it easy and have some relaxed moments. I don't think enough time for myself, so it's I need to do that. 14230 SSTV. Not really hearing anything. Propagation isn't that great tonight. Let's check out. I like to go up from 5 megahertz when I tune the bands, because there's like a lot of things that could be there. So what do we have? We have Radio Rebelde on 5025. Radio Rebelde on 5025 in Spanish. Radio Vanicuba on 5040 in Spanish. So Radio Vanicuba, but apart from that, what else do we have on the 5 megahertz range? Trying to see here. I'm going to move this here, try to move it a little further up. What else do we have? Anything interesting here? There's nothing there. What is that? Stanag. There's some Stanag stuff. 5330, which is one of the 60-meter amateur channels. Had something, but nothing more right now. 5357 is some FT8 or JT65, or I don't know. Let's fire up our WSJT software here and see if it can decode something off of this. Whoops, not this one. I want to go here, and let's just move this here. So anything decoded here. Mode. I think it's 5357. Is it 0.5? That sounds low. 5357. Yeah, look at that. CQ-CO8L1. This is a Cuban station. 5357 in FT8 mode. Anything else? Yep. CQ, K6EID, K4RSG, WU9Q, K3EL. So lots of activity on FT8 mode on 5357 upper sideband. So now we have Cuba here that's called CQ. We have WU9Q that is making a contact now. Kind of nice. EB1IFK. What's from where? Kind of interesting. Lots of FT8 stuff. 5357 upper sideband. Really, really nice. It's right here. Rumpelstiltskin. And it's a fin du monde. It's not super cold now because I've been there for a while, but cheers. Oh, thanks, Richard. Yeah, I know they have a period where it's in. I know that at 23:30 they're in French, but I didn't remember they were in English. Thanks for the correction, Richard. What else do we have here? What else is there here? Butterbean's receiving using an MFJG5RV Loeb strong north south. Cool. I wish I could send you some chicken pot pie, guys, because it's really a good one. There's a lot of chicken in it too. Tyler Salisbury says, just had Skip from Memphis and Jackson, Tennessee before midnight last night. That's sporadic e-skip. There's some sporadic e-skip going on. Yvonne says, in digital TV on 14233. Douglas Perry, nice to have you on board, as usual. What do we have? Sir Darkless says, I really miss all those Latin American shortwave stations on the low bands at 9 back in the 80s. Oh, I had so much fun. I remember having fun listening to 4VEH in Haiti. They had a lot of religious broadcasts, but it's funny because in the evening, a little later, before they would sign off, they would have a game show. And I remember listening at that and having a laugh listening to the game show. And I miss that also. I miss, you know, Ecos del Torbes on 4980. What was there? I got lots of QSLs from them. It was, Radio Barquisimeto, I think it was 4995. There was Radio Reload on 4832. Awkward frequency, I always thought. Also a lot of Africans. I remember receiving one of my best memories of shortwave is the in the 90s with the Kenwood R5000. I would go to bed at midnight 30 because at midnight 30 local time was the start of Radio Nationale Tchadienne in Africa that would hear super well, and they would start their programs in French. And I remember I would go to bed listening to about half an hour of that and then just switching it off and going to bed because I was working in the morning, so I couldn't listen to it all night. But they were taking calls from listeners, and it was kind of interesting. It was very, very interesting. Radio Nigeria used to have such a strong signal in their English language everywhere. There's so many stations. I mean, I miss that. I miss the fact that there was just so many things that were so cool to listen to back then. I can tell you that. So, really amazing. Oh, absolutely, Yvonne. Listen to the music program of Africa Numéro 1. I remember one show that I was listening on Africa Numéro 1 in Gabon was a show where they had every day of the week they would have, and it was, I guess, about 1 p.m. in the afternoon here around, and I think it was on 15, they were on 15475, I believe, right? Something like that. And I remember listening to a 30-minute show where they were playing it was kind of a Hitchcock type thriller radio broadcast. So it was like all sorts of stories that were kind of, you know, mystery, police, and even, you know, sci-fi stuff, but a little bit like, you know, Alfred Hitchcock type show audio, and it was always written by a African viewer or listener. So every day of the week they had this 30-minute, and I would listen to that every day. I always found it so fascinating. I remember one that the guy was working. Okay, the old show was a guy working in a beer factory, and that's why I remember, because of the beer. And the story was around mystery regarding a beer factory, that everybody would just go crazy over the beers, and they couldn't get away from the beers. The beers were too good, and everybody bought that beer, and they were wondering what was the mystery behind it. And they were actually shown, kind of, really, the description was good. And at the end, there were some elves peeing in the beer, and that what is kind of elves, basically some kind of elves from hell peeing in the beer at the factory. That's why it's so secret, and that was what actually making people drink more beer, because they were hooked at that. It was like, okay, only on, you know, Africa numero 1 can I hear a story that sounds like that. I don't know. It's kind of wow. But man, I can tell you that. Just crazy. Just crazy. It was just amazing. I remember. There's so much stuff. So lots of FT8, by the way. Hey, VE9DX, that's from New Brunswick, I believe. This is E3 from Ontario. So I've heard VE9DX. Pretty nice. Pretty nice I'm hearing. Lots of contacts, look at that. Even with your European stations and 9H1. Amazing. I like these nodes. They're amazing. These are digital almost. They're just so amazing, I had to say. So anything else in here? Look at how propagation is crappy tonight. I always hear Royal Air Force weather on 5450. Nothing. Very, very weak tonight. Very, very, very weak tonight, I have to say. Aeronautical communications on 5616. So there's some stuff happening there. So just crazy. Just crazy. Two Ends of Radio says Seasick Pirates on 93.95. That sounds like a WRMI frequency. Barbie Bean says, in the 90s were awesome for transmitting and receiving DX. You know, there's always something to listen to on the bands. I gotta tell you one thing. And we gotta continue. Well, you know what? I'm gonna tell you one thing. Sir Dark List. You see, Shortwave is depressing today. You know, if you were around in the 80s. Of course, this is aeronautical comms. Look at that. Some pretty good communication. So, of course, if I have to put myself and compare what we have now with what was happening in the 80s, unfortunately, yes, the bands are really, really different than what they were, and it's easy to get depressed at this. And we shouldn't. Hey, look at that. Look who's coming back to say hello to everybody after a couple of hours. Look at that. Look at that. Mr. Cat saying hi to everybody. You know, saying hi to everybody. So, you know, of course, you could be depressed and you could decide that, you know, it's sad to see Shortwave the way it is. And I can understand it partly because I really miss a lot of the Shortwave stuff of the time. But, that said, I have a lot of fun listening to Shortwave today. I have a lot of fun doing these shows and listening to all these types of signals. In a sense, I even will say that what is interesting, my knowledge today is so much greater that I listen to a lot of things that I just did not listen back then for a very simple reason. I didn't know it existed. I didn't know back when I was young that there were aeronautical communications like these. So, you know what? This is a shifting hobby. I mean, things are changing. Stations are gone. Lots of stuff. But basically, there's still a lot of stuff to listen to. And we just got to adjust ourselves. It's different. And there are things, yeah, that I miss, absolutely, you know. I miss HCJB in the evening. I miss tons of things I was listening to back then, you know. I mean, there were a lot of stations back then. But we also got to think that there's really a lot of things to listen to still today. And we're going to focus on that, because we can't just stay in the old times, for sure. So you know, it's the number of stations were amazing, I can tell you that. And you know, we got to do our best and still think about what's to come and what's there on the bands. Moaning on 5900. Cat speaks French. Yeah, well, probably understands French words, because I always talk about, you know, talk to him in French. So, of course, you know. B, hey there, says Joe, please tell us your thoughts about the amazing ICOM R75 compared to your amazing R8500. Do you think they are close? They're probably very, very, very close, absolutely, because the R75 is a high-end receiver, and I think for the shortwave side, they're probably as good. So for me, they're probably as good. That's what I would say. And it's you know. What else do we have here? Just call my girls in to see the cat. One is flipping out with glee. And the K2. Oh man, that cat is so beautiful, I can tell you. I love my cat. I love my cat. I have a friend of mine that had his cat, actually, because he moved. And I always thought it was a sad story. When he moved, he couldn't bring the cat, and you know, he kind of dropped out the cat somewhere. And I always thought about, you know, poor cat. You have a cat for 2 years, and you decide that you just throw the cat away because you can't bring your cat with where you're going. And you know, and that has always stuck in my mind. So basically, I've always you know, sometimes when I talk to DX, Paul the cat, I tell him, I say, look, if I accepted you in my life, I accepted you up to the end of your life. I'll never separate from you, and I'll never, you know, accept the fact that if I go somewhere, I can't bring you along. You are part of the family now, and you're part of, you know, my life, and you'll always be with me. And I can't imagine ever leaving Paul the cat behind. I mean, look at that little kitty guy. How can you leave this little guy behind? It's impossible. This is impossible. You cannot leave that little folk behind. Come on. He doesn't understand half of what us humans are just dumb sometimes in doing our things, you know. And I'll never leave Paul behind. I can tell you that. So he is a very nice cat, and I love him a lot. He's a little fat now, but anyways, really just crazy. MDK2 says, I love orange tabbies. Been 10 years since one I had passed. Still miss him, even though I had him for 16 years. Well, you know, he lived to be a good old cat, you know. At least that's nice. Tyler says, my neighbor's cat looks like that. His name is Tiger, but I cannot get near cats due to allergies. I have allergies, honestly. I am allergic, slightly allergic to the cat. And I have a pot of Benadryl here. So if at some point he really makes me sneeze too much, or I have too much on problems, I just take a day or two of Benadryls, and it helps me, and then I'm okay for a while. So really. Hey, Mike DeVita, nice to have you here. Garfield, your cat turns 20 in March. Wow, that is amazing. I'm not offended, Mad Radio DXer. I absolutely know when the cat is in the field that it helps out. You know what? One of the funniest things about camera view count, the day I had my first webcam, I had, there was a website, I don't remember what it was. There was a website back then that you could put your webcam live for free. And I put my webcam in my office. And so we're talking about, 2000, 2001. And, there was like nobody with webcams back then. It's like I was one of the first, and it was a 3-com webcam that I paid like $250. And I put the camera there. And of course, there's a lot of hilarious things that people saw. For example, me falling down my chair and stuff like that. But apart from that, one evening I have some girlfriends over, and they are in the office, and I'm showing them stuff in the office, and I forget that the webcam is on, and I at some point viewed the camera and said, "Oh, look at that guy, girls. By the way, you're live on the internet," because my cam is 24 hours in the office. You had a count. You could see the count of, the number of people watching on that website with the app. And, when I was working, it was like, anywhere from like 3 to 15 to whatever. But that evening I was amazed because I had 2 girls with me. And the whole time the girls were there, the count went to like 75. Which was a record for me back then for a camera like that. And I was like, okay, you horny guys are really, really looking at the girls now. 94.78 should be 94.80 probably. And should probably be, I don't get anything here, 94.80. It's, I don't know. I built the AM transmitter kit, $13 on eBay. Oh, really? How does it work? How does it work? Is it okay? Kind of cool. Kind of cool. So, sometimes I take the pills for allergy when I feel... Sorry, guys, but I really have... Man, I've got an ache in my left shoulder, and it's been since last week, and it's still. I just left, rose my arm to touch the camera, and it's really, really hurting now. So, and this is somebody talking. That is okay. Somebody calling me up. That doesn't know I'm live. So you built the AM transmitter on 1550 kilohertz, very, very low power. Okay, and it works well. Kind of cool. Man, thank God I'm not on Windows 10. You'd see the phone number. That I need to stop for that computer, so that people don't see the people calling me phone numbers. So, that's kind of interesting. I always liked to, I remember playing around with AM transmitter when I was young. Always enjoyed, that a lot. Tuning around the transmitters and trying to transmit as far as I can. The part 15 transmitters where, well, you shouldn't put more than, this long of an antenna on it. But actually you put so long of an antenna that it's like you're trying to broadcast to the world on it. Oh man, this is kind of cool. So 3 hours and 33 minutes. Hey, last shot that I'm going to show it, guys. PayPal.me/shortwave if anybody wants to help me out. Patreon.com/radio and computers. And for those that want to PayPal and doesn't work with this, you go to your PayPal account and you can send it to the email address that I'm going to post right now, the Yahoo email in the chat. And you can help me out, and tell you guys the donations are really helping me continue in what I do. So thanks for the donations, everybody. It's really welcome, and it helps me so much in continuing what I do, and hopefully continue more into 2018 doing live shows. It's much appreciated, and I like doing these shows. It's really fun. On the SDR, can you transmit? Well, not this one, but I believe there are SDRs that have the possibility to transmit. Absolutely. So yeah, I know, Douglas. It's sad to see that you are losing your job because of the Sears stores closing. Really sorry about that. And don't worry about it. I'm not asking money from people that don't have the possibility to help me out totally. Like Tyler says, Hack RF can transmit also. Tyler Salisbury says, I have a Grundig G8 and the clock button is very sensitive, where when I put pressure on the cover it messes up the radio, and when I get near HF noise sources it resets the radio. Oh really? Wow, this is Sears is closing in Canada. Every store, 12,000 jobs are lost. So Sears is closing across Canada, which is sad. You know what? Sears was that retailer that my mom used to buy everything by catalog on Sears in Canada, and when I was young, and I remember getting the catalog at the Christmas time and just drooling over all the toys in that catalog. This is such a wonderful memory of my young moments in life, and boy, that was amazing. That was amazing. Just crazy here. Take care, DHR Williamson. It's nice to have you on board, and we're soon to be signing off also. Yep, Sears has been along for a long time. I remember buying jeans over catalog with Sears, telling my mom, hey, I want to have 2 pairs of Levi's. Can you order them for me? I'll pick them up. The Sears Christmas catalog were the most beautiful of all. And for children, imagine for children, watching all the toys in there. I mean, come on. You could just imagine all of these things. It's just amazing. But these catalogs were amazing. Only amazing. Pirate on 6955 upper sideband just started. Let's check it out. 6955 upper sideband. Am I catching anything here? So, nothing much here. Just a tone there. And if 6880 is still on, it's getting much weaker by the minute. No, I think 6880 left the air, so I'm not hearing much right now. But the Sears catalog was amazing. Oh man, absolutely, it must cost a fortune to make these catalogs. But in return, imagine the fortunes that people were spending at Sears. So it was a win-win thing, you know. Beautiful catalogs that make you spend because you drool. So good night, DHR Wilson. It's nice to have you on board. They were expensive, Sir Darklist. I gotta say they were expensive. When I grew up and started seeing other stores, I remember buying my Levi's jeans at other stores because they were less expensive. I do remember that. Well, you got is 6880. I think the bands are really getting really weak here. B says, to sum up how good you are, Shell, it's not your techie videos for me, it's your review of the equivalent of the Stangeon 909 that is unmatched. Okay. Cool, thanks. And so it's still active, 6880. You see, I've lost it. Look at that. 6880 is here, and I got no more lines. So it means that for the East Coast, it's not there anymore. Wow, this is crazy. Radio Shack, yeah. Radio Shack was expensive for full price, but if you were patient, their sale price was unmatched. You could get anything at a price that nobody else could give you. So, you know, I remember Radio Shack seeing things that I wanted to have, and I just waited until they were on sale, and then I'd pick them up. On sale, they were really great deals, but full price, yes, it was expensive. Absolutely. Really, really expensive. So, Tom Perk says, nothing here but my antenna I have in backyard is 3-foot antenna. Good for a lot of frequencies, but I need to learn how to build. Yeah, make yourself a good long wire or something. Check it out. Or a dipole. So, yeah, it depended on the realistic Radio Shack stuff. Some were, yes, problematic in the quality, but some were pretty cool. Yes, absolutely. I was thinking about that, Jerry. Consumer Distributing had amazing Christmas catalogs too. Absolutely. They just didn't have anything in it when you went to get it, but they had amazing catalogs. MDK2 says, a hint of conditions to come. Last year, Wolverine signed on, and only I was reporting them. All the other regulars on HF Underground couldn't hear it, so he tuned down to 4 megahertz. Wow. Butterbean says 6880 being better in Georgia, so at least it's being heard still. It's just not making it here to the east, to Montreal anymore. So really amazing. Yeah, DX wants to go out, I think. Look at that. DX is really making its presence known now. So the cat is there. This is DX on the SDR, and so this is where you are. DX is on the SDR. Yes, DX the cat is a radio cat. Aren't you? You're a radio cat. I know you are. I know you are. So, hey guys, I'm gonna start saying goodbye to everybody. I'm gonna go put that pot pie, the chicken pot pie, in the oven, and because I'm hungry. And hey, if you want to listen to the same thing that I'm listening, simply go to WBCQ at 0100 in 20 minutes, 18 minutes from now. 3265, 5130, or 7490. It's going to be Alan Wiener Worldwide. Kind of like listening to that from time to time. I want to thank you very much, everybody, for being here. I'm amazed that we did 3 hours and 40 minutes because I really didn't have that much things to talk about. But you know what? We went into so many things. It was just so cool. I want to thank everybody for being here. You guys are great. You guys are amazing. We are not live tomorrow, so don't search for the Saturday show. Tomorrow I'm off. I'm taking it easy. Probably going to go see Blade Runner 2049 at the movie theater. And next show, next Friday. And that's at 2000 hours UTC. And Sir Darkless says, shall imagine you wake up and CDX tuning one of the radios making reception report. That would be funny. Actually, that would be probably me waking up and saying, okay, okay, am I dreaming or did I take some drugs without knowing about it? Thanks everybody for being here. It's always fun to be here. One amigo, everybody. Take care. Nice to have you on board. You are great fans, great people. Thanks for those that donated. And Love you all. Love you all, okay? Take care, everyone. Stay safe, please. Stay safe. And always enjoy these live shows with you guys. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.